And Smashbox TV is on the air. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined by Johnny V. I've been working on a different intro. That wasn't the one I was working on.
No.
I need something. We need something other than the standard, and I'll work on one. I knew I wanted it to be different, so here we are.
You accomplished different.
Different. We are changing things up. Again, welcome everyone. This is podcast number 122. We are here on December 6, 2016, from Johnny V's glorious studio basement location. Things are looking good here, Johnny.
As long as you look this direction, the studio looks great.
Everything looks great. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We are excited for a show. Like, I know I say it all the time, and I know actually TV hosts say it all the time. They always say, you're in for we got a great show lined up.
We got a great show for you tonight.
They always say that, and it's always bothered me because they wouldn't tell you if it wasn't, for starters.
Well, half the time they don't know. They're saying it at the beginning of their show. We got a great show in store for you or whatever. If it turns out to be an absolute debacle, they don't know.
I guess not. Well, it's either way, we do have a good show lined up. Things have been a little bit quiet, as many of us know, and
until this week.
And then today there was just an abundance of news that just came flying at us from all different directions. Of course, last week we were left with a little bit of a cliffhanger, knowing that the PDGA was going to have a big announcement or some news. Kevin McCoy, our PDGA board member.
Yeah, do you think that the big news lived up to the hype?
I'm surprised that it. I'm surprised that it was Kevin phrased it the way he did. That's what I think threw everyone a little bit for a loop. I wasn't expecting a resignation as such a big announcement. And for those who somehow don't know, we had our podcast, of course, last Tuesday, saying on either Wednesday or Thursday the news would be announced. I believe it was announced the very next day, Wednesday, that Brian Graham, who has been our executive director of the PDGA for about 10 years now, he is in fact stepping down. He's taking another position, which I believe is still located in or around the Augusta, Georgia area. And he's no longer going to be our executive director.
He's like a communications director at some other place.
Yeah, some other place. Events management or something, or communication events events. Okay. So who knows? When I was coming up with an analogy, some people, when I was talking about it, I'm wondering if he's going to kind of fit into a role in the last year or 2 years. We've come to know and love Annabelle Udo O'Malley from the St. Jude Children's Hospital. And she was in a role where she's obviously working on fundraising, but then also integrating to come up with new events and exciting events, and disc golf being one of them.
Are you announcing she's going to be our new PDGA director?
What I'm announcing is, if I had to guess, I feel like maybe he's taking on a role that she was doing at St. Jude. So
Very
for
similar.
those that know any of that situation, that's just my guess. And we'd love to have Brian on. We'll probably talk to him sometime soon. I'm hoping to see him and or talk to him sometime soon. I'd love to know, and he's going to work during the transition, so I'd love to know the things that he couldn't say, maybe once he's out, the things that he couldn't say or did say or shouldn't say or
I did
wants
see
to
him
say.
make one or two Facebook posts.
Okay.
And someone was like, "Oh, someone hacked Brian's account," and he just literally said, "Nope, the leash is off now."
Oh wow! I don't even think I saw that.
I saw he'd made a comment. It looked like it was semi-political in nature. I didn't dig too much into it, but I think he's going to be able to be. If you follow him, he's going to be a little bit more free on the social medias as far as probably what his personal opinions are on a lot of things.
Yeah, he's obviously somewhat. He has his hands proverbially tied in the sense that
Let's stick to 2 syllables.
I know I can't spit it out today. In that when you're in that type of position, you just really, politics, religion, all those things are always tough topics to address. But
We talk about it too. How you and I relatively try to stay neutral. Your personal account is your personal account and I think you're welcome to that. We'd never post anything under Smashbox. If people who follow us can probably get a general idea of where you and I each stand, but we never try to be in your face about it.
Certainly not. So it will be interesting.
So
it'll be interesting to see a little bit looser Brian Graham.
Yeah, in Kevin's defense, I kind of felt like the announcement wasn't as impactful immediately that maybe he thought it was going to be. But this is more of a slow burn. This is something where we're going to get maybe a couple good months out of it as far as news. Who's interviewing, maybe who, if we even are privy to that information, because obviously the board makes the final decision. Who's eventually going to get in there? How long it's going to take them to get on Smashbox?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just saying.
And is it going to be? I think
is it going to be an inside person or an outside person?
That's one of the most interesting questions yet.
What do you think? Do you think if you had to flip a coin and take a guess, inside the disc golf or outside of disc golf?
Well, there's two ways. There's should it be or will it be? And I think it's going to be someone inside disc golf.
I think so too.
There's plenty of solid arguments saying we need fresh blood. We need someone from outside of disc golf. I understand that, and if it is, and it's a qualified person, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. I just have a feeling that it will be someone inside of disc golf. I think we have so many more talented people that are out there that maybe aren't necessarily in the forefront of my brain or your brain, or a lot of people. They're not obvious choices, but there's a lot of people out there that are clearly smart enough and capable of taking on this position, whose names we aren't household names.
They might not pop right into our head. And I'll say this. I would love for there to be some outside blood come in.
Okay.
I just don't think...
Uh-oh.
Here we go. I don't think the salary that they're putting out there is going to attract like top talent CEO type thing. And that's maybe not what we're looking for. But the starting salary is $80,000 a year. And while that is a fantastic salary for 95% of the population in the United States, or maybe even more, but it's not. I don't see that as a huge attraction for someone outside the sport to come in and go, yeah, that's what I think I could see doing that for $80,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stepping away from either another position that they're in or something like that. Now, internally, it's great because somebody who is, you know, let's just say they're a disc golfer or a promoter or something along those lines, that's a great salary for disc golf related things. You know?
Correct.
But if you're trying to attract outside talent, you're probably not going to attract cream of the crop, top notch. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe someone does. Maybe someone steps up and they see, you know, hey, that's something I'd like to do. I live in the area. I've got X, Y, and Z experience. I think I could do this. Maybe, but you're not getting Bill Gates that way. I don't think he's going to... I'm going to go on a limb and say he's not going to be our next director.
Well, there's certainly plenty of good reasons to have the fresh blood, the new perspective, change things up, move away from status quo. There's all those different, you know, cliches and or legitimate concerns. But also, you could say we're such a niche sport.
Yeah.
There's intricacies that are best, that are, you know, that people on the inside would know about and be able to work with, and with our history and whatnot. I don't know. I could see it either way. I think one of the best questions that floats around, I saw Eric McCabe posted it, and I'm sure dozens of other people have posted it as well, is off the top of your head, did you have recommendations, thoughts, people in mind that you would like to see apply, you thought might apply, or you would encourage to apply?
There's nobody that I know that would be any good for the job.
Good. That's good to hear.
No, I know I jokingly... Last week you were off-site at your house, and the first thing when Kevin said, I got some big news, I jokingly messaged you, maybe Brian Graham's stepping down, LOL, thinking like, that's not happening. That was just kind of a whatever. And then Kevin got into it more on the thing, and I for sure thought, oh, it's not that. It's probably some sort of collaboration with some company or something else. Big sponsor announcement.
Could have been a million things.
Yeah, exactly. And after it was announced later that week, I said, is that something you would want to do? And you kind of shook your head no. Like, it's not. And there's been and I'm not the only one. There's been 2 or 3 people out of the
so my allegiance is forming.
Yeah, I'm just saying you've got a strong coalition of at least 3 people behind you saying that we think you could do a good job, but it's my understanding is what you said to me is it's not what you're looking for out of the sport.
Not right now. So I'm flattered if anyone thinks I'm qualified for it or not. I've seen what Brian Graham does, and God, I could do that in my sleep. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, one thing that I know.
I saw him out on the lake today, or some river, some conference, and they're kayaking or canoeing or something.
You don't think I can't do that? No. What I'll say is one of the major components that Brian does for the job is to go to conferences and shows. He goes to these massive conferences. He goes to visitors and convention bureaus. And those types of conferences and teams conferences. He goes to a bunch of them.
Yep.
It's a good portion of his job. I thoroughly love that atmosphere. Mm-hmm. I actually went there and filmed him doing what he does. And as I was filming it, I was very comfortable in the things he was saying and the things that he was doing in terms of giving the answers. He was at a large convention here in Milwaukee when I had gone and filmed him. And at that particular one, it was with organizations that are trying to get disc golf tournaments to their area. And a lot of the responses, I don't want to say were canned, but a lot of responses were in the sense of, okay, how many courses do you have? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to develop more? Can you develop more? What caliber are your courses? What's your hotel capacity? He kind of asked all those very basic questions. And then from there, you can conjure up as to, okay, well, you're eligible in theory for an AM Worlds or a Pro Worlds or or you're best off with a US
NT
Masters
or a Masters or
exactly. And then from there, he wants to also help make that connection to a state coordinator or to a quality designer,
sure,
or whatever. Those are all things I'm very comfortable and I do on my own and have been doing for a lot of years. So I'll say from that perspective, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think whoever's doing it, to me, it needs to be a quality public speaker, as Brian has done that for a lot of people. He's addressed, obviously, people at Worlds, but then at these conferences, he needs to be someone needs to be really confident and comfortable
for sure
speaking about disc golf and sometimes to very large crowds of not just disc golfers. Mm-hmm. You and I know it's easy to get up sometimes in front of a large gallery of disc golfers to talk, but if they're not already, on board with the sport, it's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, I mean, you need to talk with heads of parks departments. You need to talk with heads of visitors bureaus and things of that nature. Just people that have more pull than even the local club or the local designer. You need to be able to be confident and knowledgeable for more or less a little bit of everything in the sport.
And Brian has filled that role very well.
There's not much Brian hasn't done in the sport. He's been a tournament director, course designer, obviously director. He's run the gamut. And I think he was. It's been 10 really good years with Brian, and we're very lucky to have had him for the time that we've had him.
Well, and one of the things that he's done so well is he's been very diplomatic, and I think that's where my biggest challenge would come in. If you haven't heard some of my rants here on the podcast, I have a hard time. I can be
shut your mouth.
Yeah, I can be challenged. I'm good with that. I'm getting much better at taking criticism. It's the idiot criticism that you hate. It's the people who just go off because they have nothing better to do. Usually they're ignorant or uninformed, and those are the people that I have the hardest time with. And Brian and the PDGA are bombarded with that stuff every single day. And of course, there's a few walls and filters and layers there that you can work with, and you just gotta choose to
ignore. That's term delegation.
Yeah, delegate as well. You just have to learn to ignore some of those things and not get into it because you can't. But he's been very diplomatic throughout the years, and for that I appreciate him, and very envious of that quality. So it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. I personally. I was not alone in suggesting someone like Michael Downs. He currently works with the PDGA, or works at the PDGA. I feel like I've seen him give some addresses in terms of our tournament players. I feel like he's well-spoken. He's been in the game. It doesn't matter that he's a solid player when he used to play, but he's been in the game for a long time. He knows about tournament directing. I think he has a lot of different components and elements. Maybe some of that other stuff doesn't interest him, some of the other roles, but
I'm going to throw my hat in the ring
Okay. Why did you go over there and pick it up while you're at it?
Yeah, for Greg Barsby.
Oh, okay.
Greg Barsby.
Okay.
He's looking
for someone else.
Yeah. He's looking for extra cash in the off season.
Yeah.
I figure
If
why
you could
not?
just do a 6-month stint.
Yeah, just a small break it up.
Michael Downs is a name that came to mind, and I personally, some people threw around the name Kevin McCoy.
I believe I mentioned Kevin.
Kevin, again, a very well-rounded individual whose passion has always been with the sport. We've known that for a long time. Another person that certainly, for me, came to mind. He's, I think, still serving on our board. Sean Sinclair, I feel, is, again, very diplomatic, is very soft-spoken, and I think can handle a lot of those things.
I don't know.
Okay.
Like, I
tell Sean why he's not qualified right here, right now.
Sean, I love you. You and I communicate quite a bit online, chat back and forth. I just don't maybe necessarily think you're the right fit for the position.
Why?
We'll get that off camera. No, I mean, working with Sean in the past, I think he's really good at what he does, being doing the things he does in the PDGA. I don't necessarily know if his passion lies in there. If it does, go for it. I think he could do a good job, but this from what I've seen, I don't know if that's
You
where
just said he couldn't.
I didn't say he couldn't.
Sean, I'm not going to say you got my vote, so let's clear that up before we get into our guests here in a few moments. We got world champions on the line waiting.
Do we get a vote?
No, that's
Why
just it. So many people immediately got out there. A lot of people went out there and said, I vote Avery Jenkins.
I nominate.
I vote Avery Jenkins. You got my vote, as another name that was thrown out there. This is not voted upon by us. There's an application process. You must apply for it. Dan Stork-Roddick and a collection of people, a committee of sorts, a committee, will be, in fact, reviewing applicants. And then I believe from there, they make recommendations to the board, and then the board discusses about who to hire. So ultimately, not the president, sorry, that's Rebecca Duffy. Ultimately, the executive director reports to the board in this situation. So it's not a nomination. There's no write-ins.
Who's the electoral college?
I know, that was kind of one of my.
Would that be all the state coordinators?
Yeah, that was my joke. Is that the state coordinators would be the electoral college, but Facebook likes would be the popular vote.
And Rebecca Hall Duffy, who's currently on the board,
our board president,
says
you address her as Miss Madam President.
Madam President says, let's not forget the business and financial side of it.
Of course.
So you can't just be knowledgeable about disc golf. You actually have to be a relatively decent business person. You have to be able to work with budgets. You have to be able to try to appease about 1,000 different groups and peoples.
Every day.
Every day.
Yes, so those are all qualifications. It's all out on the board, pdga.com. You can check it out, and we're going to get into some other details. We saw announcements today regarding a new hire at the PDGA, along with this transition. Some other rumors that Miss Madam President can clarify later, too.
Wow.
So we got plenty of stuff for after that. In just a few moments, though, we're going to dial up some world champions. I believe that we're going to have them on the line. We were able to secure Mr. Nate Doss along with Valarie Jenkins, who will be joining us tonight. They had a pretty eventful weekend, and I think they're ready to share it with the world. And as we're getting to them, we're also going to let everyone know shortly after we catch up with Nate and Val, we will be catching up with the whole group from Spinners on the Green. And they're going to be pulling 4 golden tickets. That's 4 of them. So that they can, in fact, see who wins. Their spot in the memorial. So I think somebody wants to get online. The champions of a Southwest team tournament. We've got Nate Doss and Valarie Jenkins.
Wait, a Southwest team tournament? They're in the Northwest.
Well, they travel.
What the?
Good evening.
We're in the West to count.
It's in the West.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you get half of it. I'll give you that.
Well, welcome to the show. Nate, I got to start with you and just the fact that how does it feel, the first person in history in the same year to win the 2 most elusive team tournaments? How does that feel?
You're sure
Now,
about this stat?
Shut up. No, I made it up.
First question, yeah, I would say, are we sure? Because
No.
there was Team NorCal. I don't know, there might have been. There's definitely some people that have done it before, but
In the same year?
I don't know about the same.
That's it.
What were the 2 years that NorCal made it?
I don't know. I'd have to go look that up.
Yeah, look it up.
SandyPT.com.
Oh man, it's I don't know. It's just been a crazy kind of experience the way it all went down. Having you invite me to come play up at Sandy Point, a place I've always wanted to play, and then winning it there in somewhat dramatic fashion, and then going down to San Diego, which I've been going to since I was a kid, basically. And I've only ever played for one team, which has been Team Santa Cruz, my hometown, the town I grew up in. But to be representing Oregon and to go up against Santa Cruz in this year's final was and we won by a dramatic half point that our captain, Mike Ruzicka, tapped in a really good birdie on his last hole to win it. So, I mean, it was ultimately a really wild ride, but an incredible one for sure, and two great teams to be a part of.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, he had the elusive pressure hanging on his shoulders. More than just us. We just had one team tournament to play, but they had.
Interestingly enough, I played the two slot on both teams.
Wow. Who got the one spot over you this past weekend?
So Nate Sexton was our number one player, and he's well deserving of that. He actually did amazing in that slot. And then, of course, Scotty Too Hottie for Team Alliance.
Yeah. Wow. So not treated as the three-time champ thinks he might be. But so for everyone that's not aware of even what we're babbling about in terms of team events, Nate, Val, break it down. What is this team event format, and what it consists of for you guys this weekend?
Well, how long has it been going on?
This was the 35th annual.
35th annual Southwest Team Tournament.
Yep.
And, while you made the joke, we're not really in the Southwest, this is more of a California team tournament. I mean, the majority of the teams at this event, there's 8 teams total. A majority of the teams are coming from California. Another outside state was Arizona, and then us is Oregon. So there's 6 teams coming out of California. So it's a strong field when you can have one state and so many different regions creating these huge teams. So they're teams of 12. And like I said, there's 8 teams total. And how many there's...
So it's changed over the years, but there's 5 open, 4 masters, 3 grandmasters, and 1 woman player. All pros. That's a little different from Sandy Point, which we have advanced players and things like that. Yeah.
Or advanced players.
Yeah. On Team Alliance, they were advanced.
Advanced by rating, unfortunately.
So we have the 12 players on a team, and they go up against the other 12 from the other teams. We play 12-hole matches, and for the team tournament down in San Diego, we play at Morley Field, which is a very historic place to play. It's been around for 35 years. It was the country's first pay-to-play course. It still is pay-to-play. It's $3 per round or per day, I believe. Snapper Pearson's been running it since day one, and really, it's just a cool place to be in the first weekend in December. We were playing in 68-degree weather. Got home and 3 inches of snow dropped last night. So. It was nice to be down there for sure.
You still enjoying the shoveling? Or I know I thought that first year you were like, hey, this ain't so bad. How's the third year? Or 4th?
I do, I guess. I do enjoy this shoveling. At least I'm getting to get outside. But after a while, when the plow comes by and just puts all the snow right back on the sidewalk, you're like, come on, dude. I do all that work. Come on, man.
Gives them something to do.
Gives me something to do.
That's right.
So, like the Sandy Point team tournament, this event now is held in the exact same spot every single year. Is that correct? It's always at Morley.
Yep, always.
And for those that aren't familiar with Morley, I know there's a ton of different pin positions, and as you said, incredibly historic course. It's not the most challenging course in California, and is that part of what makes it a little bit more fun? Is birdies are to be had everywhere, and you really need to be on top of your game.
Yeah, it's definitely not the it doesn't have the most distance, but it is definitely a tricky course.
Mm-hmm.
It's an old school course, been around for a long time. And so as most courses, you'd lose trees, the course would get easier over the years. They've kept those trees in by cementing them in and making those holes continue to be difficult. It's a really strange thing, but some of the holes, yeah, they are birdieable, but it offers that challenge with, trees and being technical and knowing the right shots or the right disc to throw, and it's skippy, and anyways, strokes can be, tossed back and forth. So that's what makes it really fun, because every hole is birdieable, but at the same time, you can't necessarily, not every hole is a gimme. So that's what makes it really fun. You have to birdie every hole or you're not getting that point on that hole.
A lot of the players that are new to the tournament, or, some of the younger players coming in, they're going, why don't, this would be great if it was on like some huge, amazing course. I said, yeah, I mean, it would be different, but the one great thing about Morley is that every hole is birdieable in one shot. They're all par threes. And there really is a ton of pressure that you get put on if you're, say you're not first on the tee. If you're going up against somebody and he's got a 2-hole lead on you and you got 4 holes to play and he parks all 4 of those holes, I mean, there's just nothing you can do about it. So I really love that aspect to it. And again, like I said, I've been going since the year 2000. And it's one of those special things that I've been fortunate to be a part of. And that was the one thing, the same thing I said about Sandy Point. Mm-hmm. To be able to go to Sandy Point, play that course, with a week, it's just team tournament players. The course is filled with people. Everybody's locked in, having fun, doing all that good stuff. It's just really an experience unlike no other, for sure.
And speaking to that quickly, I think one of the things that makes Sandy Point fun as well for playing out there is same thing. It's technical. It's a little bit shorter. Anything can happen. And, you experience it. I'm sure everyone does. Somebody could hit an early tree, and then next thing you know, your competitor hits an early tree, and a par could win the hole. I mean, we're talking about holes under 300 feet. But and then there's players that literally birdie 11 out of 12 holes and may only win a match 1-0 or something like that. There's I think some of that style of play is what makes those events so much more fun and unique, and that it doesn't just cater to a long thrower, for instance. There's a lot of different things that can happen out there. So Val, on the women's side, why don't you tell us who you played against? I'm sure the field was challenging, as it always is, because we're talking about bringing in the 11 or 12 best women from that area.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I would say my biggest competition was, of course, the reigning U.S. WDGC champion, Sarah Hokum. Okay. So she was in Santa Cruz and had to go up head-to-head against her in the finals. And then, of course, Own. Yep. I mean, Own, she has been my only loss in the team tournament. Well, when did I play? It was
2012.
The first year we moved here. I played for Santa Cruz, and Owen was my only loss, and that was the first time I've ever heard of her and ever played against her. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going against these women. I'm a seasoned player. I could shoot pretty well against anybody. And Owen, she's throwing consistent, but every time she'd hit a tree short and early, I'm thinking, okay, I got a point. I finally can get a point on her. All of a sudden, 60 feet out, ching, 80 feet out, ching. I'm like, who is this girl? It was crazy. And so she was my only loss in my first year ever playing, and now this is my second year. And so she was who I was up against, and finally I got to beat Owen this year, so we're tied. Okay. And then the other 6 ladies, I mean, it was awesome. You might know Cara Lee. Yep. Played against Anthony Barella's mom. Okay. She was representing Arizona.
Trina, right?
Trina, yeah, yep. Okay. Exactly. And yeah, our traveling team was San Diego, and I got to play with a girl that's been playing for 13 years. She had a couple of kids in the meantime, but she's getting back into competitive play, and she was awesome. And yeah, so it's really fun to meet these women from all around California, basically, or the West Coast, And yeah, to know that there's all these women out there competing and they are representing the best of their team. So it was really fun. But Sarah was my only loss in the like actual play.
Okay. Now
I got back to her in that finals.
Nate, you said something funny earlier. You said Jeff tapped in the final birdie and kind of won it for the team. Is that correct? In the final round, so to speak?
Well, his name's not Jeff, but yeah, Mike.
Oh, Mike Rizika. I'm sorry. I was thinking, I don't know. I'm thinking of Jeff back in Ohio. Sorry. So Mike had tapped in, and it really wasn't his match to win or lose. I mean, it's funny that it seems like it comes down to whoever the last person is that's throwing, as if it's really their fault, when really, all these other matches took place. How was your lineup? Who'd you play against, and how'd the finals go for you?
Yeah, I had a great lineup too. I mean, playing the number 2 slot, it's almost a more challenging slot because it's a lot of the players that are kind of chomping at the bit, want to be, they're the guys that want to be right there. The number 1 seed had players like Dave Felberg and Philo Brathwaite, Steve Rico, Kyle Ekman. I'm playing against the guy representing Santa Cruz was Sias, and it's one of those things where I don't get to see these guys every weekend. I don't get to play against them. I don't really know their game. When I'm playing in the number 1 slot, it's a bunch of people that I know. So a guy. In fact, my only loss for the weekend was against Chris Shotwell, who works for, I believe, the Innova Factory store, and he's a really good player. But it was his first time to the team tournament. He hadn't played the course before, and he came out. It was the very first match, and he birdied everything, man. Mm-hmm. And there was just nothing I can do about it. So, but my finals match, and the interesting thing about the finals is that normally throughout the event we play 7 matches. We only play 12 holes. Mm-hmm. But the finals is 19 holes. So it's the actual. You just play it's the 19-hole course.
Yep.
Of course.
Obviously.
But, yeah, which is totally normal.
Nobody would guess otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, 18 and 19 share the same fairway, opposite directions.
Yep.
Anyways, and there's just it's a different type of match because there is so many holes. I was playing Sias. He got up on me early, and I just kind of hung on, made a lot of birdies. Then I won a few holes, went up by 1. He birdied, I think we had 6 holes left. He birdied, got a hole back on me, so we were tied. Me and him birdied out. We both birdied out to finish our match, and we finished in a tie. So,
wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and these type of stories, if you were to poll every player in the tournament, they all have these types of stories, whether they're a Masters player, a Grandmaster, Open, woman, doesn't matter. These matches are always so tight. Of course, there's your every occasional blowout, but they're always such tight matches, and it really, really is entertaining. I think it is something that could eventually go to a nationwide type format or even a country type format.
So he's saying they need to bring in a Team Smashbox.
Maybe.
Oh yeah.
All media teams?
No,
No.
not the media teams.
No.
Media team challenge.
Great, yeah.
McCabe, we'll take McCabe.
Yeah, only if we can handpick.
I think Shoestrick was on a podcast once. We'll take him.
Yeah, I think we'd have to claim Avery at that point in terms of that team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, he's
Yeah,
media.
we'd have to be really selective about our media team because there's not a lot of talent that's yeah, anyway.
Don't worry, they're not watching.
He said it.
I'm just saying we could use a little help. We'd have to pull in some people that are maybe on the fringe of media. That's what we'd have to do. What people may or may not realize as you guys talk about the I think it's technically called the Southwest Team Invitational. Is that the official name?
Southwest Team Disc Golf Invitational. I'm reading it on the
This trophy that we just have laying around.
And I feel bad. I had your trophy actually in my hand this weekend, and I was thinking about taking a picture of it, and I didn't, and now I don't have it in front of me. I'll get that posted for you to see, and I need to hand it off to you. I have a trophy for you.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Now, when Mike and Michelle Cousins, who were out on the West Coast, it was either 94 or 95 when they had bought Sandy Point Resort in northern Wisconsin, it was immediately. I wasn't there for 94. I think I was there for 95. It was the Upper Midwest Team Invitational. And they follow nearly identical format, except for the final round is 18 holes, not 19. But they follow a very similar format. We have the advanced players instead of all, the extra masters players, so to speak. But same idea. It started as a semi-regional. It was very regional. There was Appleton and Milwaukee and Madison that had teams, but then there would be an Illinois team and a Michigan team, and a few times California showed up, and it almost felt a little unfair. You're pooling, you're taking all these people from Wisconsin, which isn't nearly as big as California, and you're putting them on 4 or 5 different teams, and then all of a sudden you have entire states that are represented that are bringing the best of the best. And it's been a lot of fun, and I think everyone should hopefully try to experience it and or get one going in your area.
Yeah, especially if you have a pretty heavily populated disc golf area. It's a great way, and it doesn't have to be a 12-person team. If your area isn't nearly as populated, start with a 6-person team, or we did something like that at Sussex a couple of years ago. Oh, God, was that 10?
That was 12 years ago.
10 or 12 years ago.
13.
Just a couple.
Just a
back,
couple.
yeah.
It's a back there ways. But yeah, you start
6.
Start with something smaller. Get something going in your area. These team tournaments are so much fun.
So
now is VTI? Is that a team? Is that Virginia? It's
Team
Virginia,
Invitational.
right?
Yes, Virginia Team Invitational. And I'll admit I don't know their exact format. I know the same idea. They're bringing these teams in. They're they're hand selecting all the various captains, and then the captains are assembling the teams. There's a regional component to it, and then I think sometimes they bring in a few ringers from outside. I'd love to know their exact format. I don't know if Dana's on the board.
Elusive 3-team tournament.
Yeah, that could be the Triple Crown. If you were to go Virginia, Wisconsin, and San Diego all in the calendar year, that's the Triple Crown.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil anything or break too many surprises here, but what are the chances you guys are going to return to the Alliance? Maybe show up?
Yeah, I mean, I would. At this point, it seems like we almost have to come back. I would probably say it's kind of like an 80-20 type of situation.
Well, we'll have to check the dates on that. I think there might be some conflicts. I may have some conflicts, and you guys may have some conflicts. We'll have to talk about the dates on that. So real quick, talk about match play itself, because people see you guys go out and play. You count every stroke, and you add them up at the end, and that's who wins. Match play is a totally different beast. Val, you go first. What does match play mean to you?
Match play, it's interesting. Our team captain reassured us. You're playing every hole, as itself. It doesn't matter if you got a 4 on the hole or that person birdied. They only got 1 point on you. So it's it's so separate from score. Every hole you've got that fresh start, and it doesn't matter how many points that the other person's got on you. You have to keep going, and you have to earn as many points as you can. You might end up in a tie, or you might lose by 1. You don't want to lose by 2 or 3 or 4. Because at the end, if your team ends up tied with that team, they calculate the points. So in the end, it's about, trying your hardest through that 12-hole match to earn as many points as you can, even if you don't win, just to keep that difference to a minimum.
Okay.
But yeah, especially when it comes down to the finals, match play is a very interesting thing. You're playing the hole basically to birdie every hole. But if you end up short or halfway down the fairway and that person's parked, now you have a situation where, okay, how parked is that person? Are they going to make that putt?
Mm-hmm.
You've been following this whole round. Are they going to make that putt? And should you run your putt? And now if you run your putt and you go soaring past, you're still out and you have to make that comeback putt, or they just have an easy point. So it's a very strange thing going on. So we had that situation multiple times during the finals, because you want to always get the best score on the hole, but maybe playing the strategy of just laying up and possibly getting the push, or if you do have the opportunity to run the putt, go for it. But yeah, it's just a weird mental game on trying to score points, and and trying to work your opponent because
well, there's nothing better than being able to lay up like a 10-foot putt. You know, a 10 or 12-foot putt, you have it by 2 or 3. It might be, yes, like there's a couple spots at Sandy Point where the greens are a little fast, and you may want to lay up that 10 or 12-footer, and it just feels so good looking at the other guy being like, I'm not going to try for this one.
Right, exactly, yeah.
I mean, I think, first of all, it's important to say that, we're talking about match play, but we're talking about a match play being a part of a team.
Yep.
I think really the San Diego team tournament prepared me for a lot of the bigger match play singles events that I've played in. Actually, our captain, Mike Ruzicka, he actually TD'd one of the very first match play championships event out at Stafford Lake in California years ago. Me and Steve Rico went up against each other in the finals, and then the Players Cup that was happening in Texas was a match play event. I ended up making the finals in that event against Nico, and I think those all helped me. But in the case of the team tournament, you're playing a match and you're playing for yourself, but you're also playing for your team. And sometimes the leader of the team, for like Nate Sexton, he can really set the tone for the rest of the guys. If he's coming back and winning all his matches, it really gets everybody else fired up. So I think that's important to say. But also that it is important to understand that there's gamesmanship in these matches. It's a match between two guys. Most likely they know each other fairly well, or if not very well. And you might know you might make them putt that 12-footer if you might be getting in their head a little bit, because every single point counts. So I love it personally. I've grown up playing it now, but some people don't like it. Some people just like stroke play and not having to worry about anything. But I do love match play, and I hope I can be a part of these events for a long time, regardless of how much golf I'm playing throughout the year.
Well, I think to your point, some people dislike it because you could go out and have a really stellar weekend. You could, virtually win every hole against all of your opponents, play incredibly well, and unfortunately come back. And if you're the only shining light on your team, being your 11 other teammates, all struggled or didn't do well, you may be performing incredibly well, but it all goes kind of for nothing. If you're on one of those teams that's not performing well. I think I could see where the frustration could set in. And I'll say, too, we've been very fortunate since the return of this team tournament that if by just sheer numbers and mathematics, if you're eliminated, your team is eliminated by Sunday morning, it would probably make it a little bit harder to show up and take it that much more seriously. Here in Wisconsin, the top two teams are who move into the finals and then essentially get paid. And some people are mathematically eliminated by Sunday morning, by the time they wake up Sunday morning. And I thankfully, I haven't been in that position as a team captain, but
I'll say this. As a team captain, I don't think we were ever eliminated by Sunday, but if we were, that would make Saturday night just that much more fun.
Yeah. So
especially at Sandy Point.
I think it needs to be said that there's got to be some pride factor in there at some point.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, Matt being eliminated would be definitely a tough thing to deal with for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like in this case, we had two teams going into Sunday that were both 0-5. They had lost their first 5 matches. And, we actually played one of those teams on Sunday morning. And the guys were still super fired up. The guy I was playing against is a local player from Oak Grove. And he was just fired up to play against me. And me and him actually had a really great match. So, I think there's definitely the greater team aspect of it. If the rest of your team doesn't do well. But you can still be proud, I guess, of the little battles you have throughout the weekend.
Well, we've said it before, like you coming to Wisconsin, and people gave me a hard time for bringing in a ringer, but there's a bigger X on your back. You have so much more to lose by someone beating you than you going out and performing well and kind of doing what we expect you to do. There's a much bigger, everybody wants to say, oh yeah, I took on Nate and I beat Nate, and so I think that almost puts more pressure on some of our top level players. What I want to say, though, is to really drive this home, I think it was last year at this event where we saw Steve Rico and Paul Macbeth going head-to-head, and I think they agreed that they would each throw their tee shots left-handed.
Left-handed, yeah.
I mean, so that tells you there's an element of, obviously an element of competition, but yet still coming up with your own fun when you're at this event.
Well, especially when you're two players of that level. I mean,
that's one way to make it more challenging.
The best in the world, where if you're right and it's more or less a deuce or die fest, these guys are probably going to deuce 80 to 90% of the holes. Make it a little more interesting, That's one way to do it.
Well, I think honestly at the San Diego team tournament, the ones have always had a little bit of leeway with what they're really allowed to do and what they can do. I didn't see much of that at the team tournament there up in Sandy Point. I felt like everybody kind of came to that a little bit more fired up. Sometimes people come to San Diego and it's a vacation and they're there to play and have a good time. But one year we played with just one disc. I mean, we got a players pack disc and we all just played against each other with that. It was a driver from Lightning, I believe, and
yeah.
I mean, me and Stevie played with Lightning discs against each other, even putted with it, So, and it is kind of fun. People like to come out and watch, and they get to see people just really sort of loose and maybe being a little bit more themselves. So I think there's a lot of angles of these types of events for sure.
Well, when I randomly showed up a few years ago, I think it was 4 years ago, I showed up and there were a bunch of you guys hanging out. And when I saw you pick up your bag that had a built-in speaker and you were blasting some Dre or whatever it was, and the group went walking off, I was like, all right, they take this a little looser than Wisconsin does.
Yeah, the speaker bag is something that I bring back every single year. I had it this year with me. I had a it's actually difficult becoming the DJ for 2 full days of disc golf, but I had fun doing it, and everybody in our group seemed to enjoy it. And if they don't, then I'm sorry, but that's just how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, it's razzing them. It's all part of the game.
It's a little gamesmanship, I guess.
So we'll give there's plenty of other conversation to be had, maybe for a longer, more serious interview on another day. But anything crazy happened to you guys here in the last few months? Anything going on that you need to share with the disc golf world? I'm genuinely not poking or prodding for anything or hinting at anything, but anything else been going on? You guys just been taking it easy since USDGC, since US Women's, all that stuff?
Well, we were at Avery's wedding. That was our final party of the year, final send-off of the year. So that was pretty awesome. That was mid-October, and that really extended our whole season to that event. And then we finally were home. So we got home around the 20th or something of October, and yeah, just started working on Bevel Craft Brewing.
Yep.
I mean, that's been our goal since we got home. We had a few rest days, enjoying being home, but yeah, we've been putting our heads to the ground and really focusing on getting this brewery off and launched.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things was, going out on tour. We were really dedicated to being out on the road and playing disc golf. Obviously Val won the world championships, but when we came home, we were really excited to get back and get back to work on the brewery. I mean, it's a life passion of ours, and you can see what happens when we put our minds to things. I mean, Val had been driving to win that 4th championship for a really long time and was able to pull it off. So it's been good to be home, but the work. Everybody said, "Oh, it's gonna be great for you guys to get home and relax." I said, "No,
no, not at all.
We want to keep working and just keep going."
Yeah.
All right, Val, you can be honest. How much do you hold it over his head? Just a little bit.
Yeah,
the fourth.
I mean, for
like just I mean,
everybody that I talk to, like
just a
media or
little bit.
interviews and stuff, they keep reminding me of it, but I keep forgetting to do
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah, she's holding it. It's right up here. Like there's a little fishing pole over there, and it's just a little 4 right above my head.
Well, I think you should change from high fives to high fours. Like, hey,
right,
just a
boom,
constant
reminder. But I can only
reminder.
hold up 3.
And then you're like, and then Val's like, oh, awkward. Sorry, I got 4 here. There's obviously always swirling and talks about next year and where things are going, what people are doing, tours. They're starting earlier, all that other stuff. Someone just asked on the board, is Australia on the horizon for you guys? I know you were there a couple years ago, but is that something, or is that just kind of too much in the middle of the off season?
Yeah, I mean, no real surprises here from us. We're not going to be in Australia this year, as much as we would love to. We really we were excited to go there 2 years ago, and Chris did a great job. If I were sitting here telling anybody, or if somebody was asking me, should I go and play in Australia, I would say absolutely. The answer is yes. It's a long ways. It's a long ways from home, but Chris does a great job. Australia is a fantastic country. We've spent almost 3 months of our lives in that country, and but it's just too much for us right now where we are in our lives. If we were 24 years old, we would. I mean, there's no question. But where we are right now, with some of the goals that we have, Australia is just out of play for us right now. But looking forward to see how that event grows, and looking forward to seeing a few more players travel over there to play. So, that's the one thing that will never change. I mean, me and Val are always going to be a part of disc golf. We're always going to be interested in what's going on and keeping an eye on the things that are happening. So that one will be no exception.
Yeah, and I think it was after our podcast, maybe it was Wednesday or Thursday, I had a conversation with Paul Macbeth, and he said, it's almost in the middle of the quote unquote off season. I mean, everybody, is kind of, whether it's workout routines or doing other things, people are doing, like you guys are doing other things that November, December, January timeframe. And with, Vegas and the Memorial not really rolling around until mid-February or later, it kind of is, I don't know, it's out on its own there, and it seems to be a little disjointed. And it doesn't seem like it works out for everyone. And, we said it last week, it's incredibly expensive for anyone to attend as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I said this back in Peoria when, we played back-to-back big tournaments. We had Worlds and we played the Ledgestone. I said, professionals are asked to do things that normal player, and this goes for any sport, but professionals are asked to do what normal people cannot. And, if you want to go play a big major tournament in Australia, you have to prepare for that. And I remember 2 years ago preparing for that. In fact, I was out practicing in, 30 degree temperatures here in Bend, out in a field, trying to prepare for it. I had gotten an internship at a local brewery here. So, it was very busy for me, but I still really wanted to be at that event. So
it was 30 degrees here, and
then
we got there. It was 110 degrees.
Yeah, I remember talking to you guys about that.
Quite prepared, but
over 100 degrees when you guys got out there. I remember seeing some of the posts and the stories and whatnot from people. Just extreme, really, especially from what you guys were coming from.
You're in the heart of summer right there.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of professionals, Nate, and I know you were busy this weekend, but you had to, and I know you're a huge golf fanatic. So give us a quick insight on what you saw from Tiger Woods this last weekend, from what you caught up on with Tiger out there in his performance. Did you see any of it or some of it?
Well, actually, I did. I think I was reading the USA Today on Saturday morning at the breakfast, and I had read how he came out and he had fired some early birdies, and he's looking good. He's feeling good. I don't know how the tournament turned out. Can you?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
spoiler alert.
It's interesting. I think I even mentioned this during breakfast that Tiger Woods hasn't played in over 400 days. A professional tournament, and he's still the biggest story when he does decide to go out and play. And I think that's the way it should be for right now. Tiger Woods is still, a living legend basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing I want to see from Tiger is I just want to see him win another tournament. I think it'll be a tremendous story. And just like Jack Nicklaus back when he won the Masters at 55, I believe, being the oldest winner of the Masters. I mean, Tiger Woods could easily do something like that as well. But yeah, it's good to have Tiger back, I think. And I'm just being a golf fan now. The young talent that is out there is tremendous to watch. This last year of the PGA Tour there was so many ties and tournaments going into the playoffs and stuff. So it's just good to see Tiger playing, and hopefully he can be his big bad self in one way or another at some point.
Were you a Tiger fan before Johnny gives you the final standings? Were you always a Tiger fan? Did he do it for you, being a always being a golf fan?
I was a Tiger Woods fan for a really long time. I think, when Tiger had his big blow up in his personal life, it was harder to support him as it is when any athlete deals with something like that. But purely as an athlete, yeah, Tiger Woods is definitely somebody that I looked up to. You just saw how hard he worked and that ability to win, to just continue to make big shots at the big moment. Especially being a disc golfer, and when he was really in his heyday, I was, in high school, probably high school, going into just graduating. But yeah, huge Tiger Woods fan for sure.
Did you practice the fist pumps? You rewound those and practiced? There you go.
The Tiger pump.
All right, Johnny, round out the story. Where did he finish?
Did he make the cut?
It was an 18-man field.
Oh, because it was the Hero World Challenge.
Because it was the Hero, and he finished 15th out of 18th.
Okay.
But they said he led the field with birdies. He unfortunately had too many bogeys and doubles. He had 6 doubles, which I could understand. What you're going to be, as we say in golf, you're going to spray it once in a while when you're not used to playing. You're not as accurate. When he's hitting him, he's on, and when he's off, he's way off. And hopefully for him, that'll come back as he ges more practice in and he's feeling more comfortable. But
I think golf for him is like riding a bike. It's just a matter if riding that bike hurts or not. I think he played in a tremendous amount of pain. All of us have played in pain, and we know how horrible it is. And sometimes it's mind over matter. But if he can play pain free, he'll be back for sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, I know you follow golf, and we'll be interested to see, as we move into 2017, seeing someone like Tiger. Do we have any other stories in disc golf that are relatable? I mean, we see Dave Feldberg after having this huge year off, and obviously Dave being the dominant player he was for so long. And what did you guys see out of Dave this weekend at the team event?
Well, I actually, because I wasn't the number one player, I didn't get to play against Dave, but Nate Sexton did, and he said that he seemed to be throwing just fine. Everything was pretty accurate. He was a little, I think, admittedly, I heard him say he might have been a little, kind of rusty on the greens and whatnot. And he maybe, I think I heard him say that he wasn't throwing as far, but ultimately, Dave is one of those types of guys that has been a great player for a long time, and if he chooses to come back, I think the sky's the limit. I think he could still come back and win big events for sure. But it is a very relatable. Dave's went through some major stuff. I mean, to have, I think, neck surgery, dealing with one of those neck bones, it's like, that's a major surgery, and we'll see how he can do. I also, and I don't know how he's doing, Paul Ulibarri wasn't able to come to the team tournament. I know he hurt his knee, and we hope for a speedy recovery there, but that could be something that holds Yuli back for a little while, but we'll see how he comes back from whatever happened there.
Okay, well, a couple of quick questions before we let you guys go. We'll start with one that's on the board, and somebody says they want to know what are each of you pick your favorite disc off the shelf behind you. What would you say is each of your favorite discs from that collection? Are those throwers that will eventually make it into a bag?
Oh, it's on a shelf.
That one works.
Look at this one.
Aww.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
It's actually a Latitude disc, but it's from our friend Skywalker over in Sweden.
That works.
It was one of our wedding presents.
That's Perfect. Okay.
Adorbs.
Adorbs.
So actually, the disc that people are seeing back there, the top couple of rows are mine. The bottom couple of rows are Val's. There's a lot of throwers. There's a lot of discs that our sponsors have sent us, and that's where we put them. But actually, there's a lot of discs that are for sale too. I mean,
how convenient!
Wow, convenient.
The ones that are for sale, I love those ones.
I love those for $29.99 each.
You know,
check out these 4 times Starfighter.
Right.
Yep.
It's an interesting thing to mention is that regardless of what people think we do or how much money we make, we still work very hard. And me and Val, we both operate our own online shops. We're selling specialty discs.
Yep.
We're packing them up right here in this room, printing out shipping labels. I mean, it's just something that you kind of have to do.
Well,
people want the stuff, and it is kind of fun to make special discs, and your sponsors are great enough to nice enough to give them to you. But it's cool to get them out to people all over the country and all over the world. So there's a lot of discs back there are for sale, but
pick out your favorite. Tell everybody, pick one and show it to us.
Oh, this one's kind of funny.
I like the pajama pants.
A weird question came in.
Yeah.
A weird question came in. Someone asked if you actually...
Like Scott, you know what he's wearing below the desk?
The weirdest question that just came in, though, was does Nate lick his own stamps?
That's your favorite? What was the question?
Does Nate lick his own stamps for the discs?
Nope, we use tape.
Okay.
Tape, baby.
Good call.
No lick.
All right. That was actually my question.
Why is that a question?
But this one here, it's a very weathered Nate Doss on a Vibram disc. This is a commemorative disc from the Vibram Open.
That's future Nate when you win in your 50s.
Right, exactly. This is actually, I am really proud of this disc. To win the Vibram Open back in 2011, I was in a run of probably some of the greatest disc golf I've ever played in my life in 2011. Worlds, Vibram, and the Players Cup to finish this season. So I like seeing that, and that's pretty cool that they make those for the winners of that event.
I know there was some available. I'm going to make a Disc Golf Pro Tour plug. There were some available on their store. Steve Dodge and the crew had some additional ones. Do you have any additional ones? Because I stocked up. I got a Val actually the other day, but there was not a Nate offered. So if you have another one, I'll send you PayPal right now.
You know what, Terry? This one is yours, my friend.
God,
this one is yours.
Look at that.
That'll be a Christmas gift. So.
All right. Well, thanks, because I need that was not available in the Pro Tour store. I got a Val. Well, of course they did. All right, so people should check out. It's natedoss.com.
Yeah.
And ValerieJenkins.com.
Yep.
And you guys both have some stuff out there, unique stuff from your sponsors in that Keen, Discraft, Innova. I've seen them out there. Go out there and check out their websites. They both have announced some specials out there. So if you want to pick up some sweet stuff, you want to support them, you can do that. And then and the final plug for support here before we move over to the Memorial Championships with the Spinners guys, Bevel Beer. And people can still check it out. They can still support you. We see you guys working toward that. The GoFundMe is the way to go if they want to go out and support you guys yet.
The Indiegogo or GoFundMe?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. Perfect.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. You can go to bevelbeer.com and you can find the link on there, or you can go to gofundme.com/bevel.
Correct.
We're on all the social media sites. But yeah, this is the last month that we're offering. When you make a donation, you'll get these exclusive. Actually, I have them here. But you get this stamp. I help Bevel Craft Brewing take flight. So we offer those to the people that have supported us from the very beginning. So we've only allowed these items to go out just this year. So we hope, we get more support from the disc golf community. We have shirts, discs, stickers, growlers, jackets. It just depends on the level that you want to donate. But yeah, these are some really cool items, and they'll only be available for another couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And honestly, we've had, I believe like 114 people actually donate to us via GoFundMe. And those 114 individuals are are amazing. I mean, it's incredible for them to give up the hard-earned money that they have to help up us with our dream. I can't thank them enough. But really, support can come in a lot of ways. If somebody has a suggestion or an idea or a tip, we'd love to hear it. We'd love to hear from them. This business that we want to start is not going to just start out of thin air. It's going to start from a lot of hard work and us getting a lot of help from people. So I appreciate all the help we've gotten, and yeah, just keep an eye out for more collaboration beers. I know we're potentially working on one in Colorado, one out of Oklahoma, and then doing another one next year for the tournament up in Vermont at Green Mountain. So it's just been a tremendous ride at this point so far, and I just look forward to every day. I wake up and I'm just planning the brewery. I'm coming up with ideas how to fit all the tanks in, see what we need, plan it all out. It's been a project unlike any other in my life for sure. So it's been a great experience, and to be able to do it with Val is even better.
Well, I'm going to throw out the disclaimer out there because immediately, especially when you we get people excited about your beer. Everyone says, send me some.
I saw some at your house the other night.
Shh.
Drink that stuff.
Just throwing out the disclaimer to everyone that they cannot make it and then send it, sell it across state lines, all that other stuff. There's tons of regulations. We've talked about it before, and we could get into it again another day. But you guys making batches and then shipping it around the country is absolutely not legal. So for everyone because immediately a flurry of people will come in and ask just that. So
what I would say to those people is, if you want to try our beer, go talk to your favorite brewery out there in your local town and say, hey, I got two people you want to brew with, and we'll come and brew with them.
Correct. Yes.
We have a goal. We have a goal right now. I just set this just recently. I want to brew a beer in all 50 states. So
what?
I've played disc golf in almost all 50. I still got to play in Alaska.
So we'll play and brew.
In Alaska. We know some people up there.
But anyways, I want to work with people all over the country and all over the world to make great beer and get it into people's hands for sure.
Okay. All right, Johnny, we got anything else that we need to clarify with these two?
No, I was driving home the other day and I was thinking of Nate particularly because there's a new brewery open right on the corner. It's this tiny little place. I would have never thought. It used to be a little cafe. I would have never thought they could fit a brewery in there. And sure enough, I drove by and all the lights, there was like one light on and there was some guy in there cleaning out. I'm just thinking like, that's gonna be Nate someday. Like just
Nate right now, yeah.
Well, it's Nate right now, but I'm like,
to it.
but his own place and everything because this place is tiny. And I'm like, how do they fit a brewery in there? But I'm just like, I guess it just takes somewhere to start. So
that's exactly it. Well, now you got me thinking about some other ties that may entice the two of you to get back to Wisconsin with some other things that we can work on for next year.
There you go. Working around the team tournament.
Yeah,
I don't know. Have a beer ready for the team tournament.
Tear Bear's thinking ahead here, guys. I don't know. I'm just saying. All right, guys. Well, we're going to cut you loose. Looking forward to seeing what's going to be in store for you guys for 2017. I think you guys have a few things up your sleeves that we may have to catch up with maybe as the year kicks off. But if I know you two, there's some other things in the works. Am I right? Right?
Yeah. You always make it
There's
sound
always
like
something in the works.
Are you guys gonna apply for PDGA director?
Yes. How
That's
about
it.
that?
I have to mention, I was going to mention this before you guys cut us loose. There's been a lot of talk about Brian. I know that they, he just announced that he's going to leave the PDGA.
And so we'd like to announce that we're not
going
sending an application.
I got to say that I think what Brian Graham has done over his tenure as the executive director has been incredible. I've loved working with Brian. And really, he probably has been one of the most influential people for the PDGA and in disc golf in general. But those are big shoes to fill. We were listening to before we came on. I just want people out there to understand that the executive director job is not a popularity contest. It's a real job, and you have to be a leader. And Brian was good at that. And whoever steps in's got to lead those people at that office. And also be good in front of a crowd, as you mentioned, going to conferences and just speaking in front of crowds. But this person that's coming in is I'm looking forward to seeing who it is. and I'll support them in any way that I can.
Absolutely.
Anyone you guys would throw out? Any names, inside or outside of disc golf?
I think that's a really hard question. I I would agree with Johnny V that I don't think Sean Sinclair is the right person for that job.
Wow.
I like Sean, and I think it's unfair to even be speaking about him. But Michael Downs is a great name to hear. But honestly, I think that this person is, and I think Johnny, I think you sort of posed the question wrong. I think inside or outside of disc golf is not the right way of saying it. Obviously, the person that's going to come in has to know about disc golf. I think the right person is somebody who is on the fringe of the know. I think it needs to be a slight outsider from that inner group, from that inner sanctum, somebody that can come in, look at something fresh. It's like anybody who's ever had a problem before. Mm-hmm. When you're looking at it so closely, you can't see how to fix it. But when somebody comes out and they haven't looked at it so closely for so long, they might have an obvious way to fix it. So sure. I think the person that is going to be potentially the best for the job, of course, we never know who's going to be the best for the job, but the person that has the highest potential is somebody who is coming in that's young and has a fire and a passion for disc golf and growing it globally with the PDGA.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents. I had to bring that up.
No, and we appreciate it. I had it somewhere that it slipped my mind to ask you if there was any recommendations. That was a good one, Johnny.
I'm really interested to see the list of applicants.
If we even see it, if we even see a list, there might just
other
be an
than
announcement.
Speculation.
Yeah, than speculation. They might just eventually.
Speculation, but I'm sure we as PDGA members, we have a right to know that information just as much as everybody else. And, I really am interested to see how this all goes down, and we'll be keeping our eye out for it for sure. But yeah, it's going to be something for you guys to talk about anyway.
It will. There's people on the board right now and
the most important election of our years.
People saying, and we see it on Facebook and everywhere else, somebody just said Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, UC, blah, blah, blah. And I would say UC would never be interested in the job. He's got way different motivations to worry about. Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, I don't think would in any way be interested either. So it's funny to think about names that people throw out that they think is a great suggestion that would either not be a good fit or wouldn't even be interested. Michael Downs, I approached him myself and sent him a message. He said, thanks for the vote of confidence, thanks for the compliment, really, but I'm not interested at all.
Oh, really? He said that?
Yeah, he said that to me. So, it's kind of funny just because we think of good people or potential names. Some of these people may have no interest. And it will involve moving to Augusta area and being down at those headquarters. And obviously that's going to be a deal breaker for plenty that, you'd have to move down there. So.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, we look forward to catching up with you more. We wish you the best with your fundraising and your actual brewing and all the other things you guys have brewing over there. Hey-o.
Yeah. In this frame, I need to do this.
But thank you for the time. Congratulations on the win for both of you. We'll talk about 2017's team tournaments sometime offline. We look forward to seeing and hearing from you guys again.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Have a great night. Take
Thanks,
care.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Hey, have a good Christmas. Happy New Year. All that good stuff. We'll be back on the show in 17.
Oh, you better
right.
be. All right. Good night.
Champions, baby.
Yeah.
Team Oregon.
Woo! All right.
We need to cut him off now. He just. Wow.
Well, so again, thank you to Nate and Val for joining us.
Always.
I think they hit on a great topic. There's an off season from playing, but
for some people.
Yeah, for some people.
But Yuli would not take an off season, as we know.
Correct. He may take a week or two off at best, but there's no shortage of work, and we can.
That's one of the things that I wanted to ask them, and we breezed past it. I was going to bring up with the recent stenitis. Is that how you pronounce it?
Stenitis.
Yeah. She brought up the same thing that Greg Barsby kind of brought up. Like, hey, top pros, how do you make ends meet during the winter months or during the off season? And a lot of people are just like, get a part-time job, save, and live minimal. And so I wanted to bring it up with them. We didn't get a chance about whether or not they've had to deal with something like that in their earlier years. Obviously now they're focusing on Bevel, so that's a different subject. But what did they do to make ends meet during the off season?
Yeah, it's a grind out there, as we say, disc golf rich. Thanks to our boy Dynamite, that's a real thing here in disc golf, and our top players aren't always living lavishly, and in the life of luxury. So, we'll probably circle around to some of those conversations a little bit later. I think here in a few moments we should be able to get the guys from Spinners on the Green to join us. Really exciting. Obviously, we're working on the details about Smashbox covering the Memorial, which we've done now with the last 2 years. We've covered it live. The kickoff to the Pro Tour this year, for the first time in a lot of years, this is not going to be the kickoff to the National Tour. Instead, that's going to be taking place in Vegas the week before, but then the entire world is going to move from Vegas and shift right on down to beautiful Scottsdale and enjoy all of the weather and the goodies that are the Memorial. So
it's always still snowy here. I'm always
we can bring on Mr. Spinners on the Green. This is Keith Murray. Keith, how we doing tonight, buddy?
Doing awesome, Terry. How you doing? Okay?
We're doing good. Many people that are tuning in are like, "Where's that guy? He's in heaven. What's going on?"
That's my bag back there. All my backups. Do you want to do a quick in the bag? I'm happy to go through.
I have a few molds, is what you could say. Keith here, joined by Ashley, working over here at Spinners on the Green. How you guys doing tonight?
Everybody?
Good. So one of the exciting things that you guys are doing this year is you have the Jawbreaker Buzz, which was exclusive to the Memorial Championships and a fundraising effort. And there was a very limited amount of these sold. And every one of them that was sold, you guys actually then got, DNA samples or something so you could then give away prizes?
Basically, what we did is we sent them a golden ticket, and then it was on you to then go ahead and enter that golden ticket to to purchase or buy a golden entry, basically.
Okay.
And so, so we wound up selling a bunch, raising money for the Memorial Championship. It was awesome, thanks to our title sponsor, Discraft. As soon as those guys mentioned a Jawbreaker Buzz as a fundraiser, jumped right on it. So we couldn't thank them enough. It wouldn't be the tournament it is without their help, for sure.
Well, and one thing that's really cool about the Jawbreaker Buzz specifically is there is a number of Jawbreaker molds that are out there, but the event exclusively had the Buzz. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
They had rolled out the Challenger, the Roach, the Banger GT, the Magnet, and the Zone. And then next thing you know, people were loving these. And talking to Mike Wagner over there, he runs the show, and he said, what do you think about a Jawbreaker Buzz? He actually mentioned it to Dano, my business partner, Dan Ginley, that owns Spinners with me. And the words weren't out of his mouth, and it was like, yep, we'll take them. That'd be awesome. So then we started thinking about, and Dan mentioned to me, well, how about, what if we gave somebody a spot or we do some sort of raffle with it? And I'm like, oh my God, these are the Candyman Jawbreaker Buzzes. Let's do golden tickets, So my first thought was like, oh, we'll do like 3 boys, 3 girls, but that was a little too wonka. So then we decided on we're going to give away 4 spots. They're yours to do what as you wish. When you were here, you grabbed some, and we talked about, you could use it as a giveaway on Smashbox if you wanted to.
Or sell it.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's really your entry to do what, or with as you wish. And, we're going to draw those 4 lucky golden entry winners tonight. So I'm pretty excited about that.
All right. Well, you want to get to one of them right away here? How are you going about the drawing? Explain it to everyone. No matter how you do it, someone's going to second guess your methodology. But tell everyone how you're doing it.
They're all in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Printed them all out, made it all work.
We got just under 400 total.
Okay.
That entered,
Yeah, we're entered in.
Some multiples. I'll grab.
So,
We'll grab the first one here.
So this is the very first person. Again, this entry could be for a pro spot or an amateur spot, or it is fully transferable. If someone wins this, myself maybe, or anyone else wins this spot, if they can't make it or they don't want to go or whatever the case might be, they can do whatever they want with that spot.
That's absolutely correct.
All right. It looks like you've pulled the name
All right,
here.
we got a ticket.
So we are typing in our first winner here. The email address matches Joey Rosas. Joey Rosas is actually a local player. That's very exciting. He is a up-and-coming, actually a very good amateur player, but even also seems like he's going to move up to a pro and start holding his own, which is pretty exciting.
Maybe now's the chance.
Man, so that's pretty cool. So, right? Yeah,
All
exactly.
right.
So we'll be contacting everybody right away, let you know. Granted, that was, we did send these out, let me tell you, all over the world. So it's not it just so happens a local got the first one for sure.
And to go ahead and clarify, this does not include airfare, lodging, or any other accommodations. This is just an entry into the tournament.
And you'll get a hug from Ashley and myself.
Yeah,
wow.
totally.
All right.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's a win in itself. So before we draw the next one, real quick, explain the backdrop. Explain where you guys are and what people should experience if they come out to the Memorial in terms of finding some discs right there on site.
Well, yeah, Spinners on the Green really is the hub. We have Duke's Bar and Grill right next to us. They're basically the clubhouse, sitting right on Vista del Camino Disc Golf Course, or Park, or the Shelley Sharp Memorial Disc Golf Course, which we transform into the Vista XL. So most of the time you can find guys hanging out here in the shop, checking out some of the newest plastics. Not only do we stock every brand out there that's we're stocking, but we still have a bunch of very limited edition Discraft stuff that week, as well as we do promotions with other companies as well. We'll do stuff with Legacy and DD, and so it's really a great week. We're really excited to be kicking off the Disc Golf Pro Tour this year. Working with Steve Dodge so far has been awesome. Definitely excited to kind of kick this year off right, and so that's going to be for the open division, of course, and the the pro women as well will be a Disc Golf Pro Tour event and an A tier for everybody. A tier across the board. We're still there supporting our Pro Disc Golf Association friends, and but wanted to stand out, with the open and the women for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I'm really, really excited what that can bring.
And spoiler alert, you guys are also the only stop on the Disc Golf Pro Tour that's going to feature multiple courses. I guess Green Mountain technically has 2 on the same location, but you guys are the only stop, and you're going to be still featuring all 3 courses that we've come to see the last few years with Vista XL, over at Fountain Hills, and then over at Fiesta Lakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We're sticking with that, and at least through this year, and then we're going to look at it next year. Steve is wanting us to roll back to a couple courses, and so as open as he's been in working with us to make this transition, we're certainly down to maybe work towards something like that in the future. With that being said, it's tough to take a course out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fiesta Lakes. What's funny is that you go back to like Eagles comments online about going to these stretched out golf courses. We go to a golf course to tighten it up. That's our most wooded course is on the ball golf course. So for us, it's tough to take one away. I thought some of your guys' footage last year of the ladies was some of the most beautiful disc golf footage out there outside of Oregon, really. And we're planning on doing that again, too. Thursday is going to be featured Ladies' Day as well. We're going to swap them and have them go off in the afternoon. And so we definitely want to highlight that. But, yeah, it's just an exciting time. We're going to have all the games going on. Really, it just seems like the Memorial Championship, even bigger and better. You guys coming back out and having all the action live, that's going to be amazing, too. So we're also one of the few that's doing every day live broadcasting. But we have to because it's just such a big event, and folks are just itching to start watching some disc golf there on March 1st,
We're itching to work. Yeah, we're itching to do more work. Yeah. All right, with that, let's get to another winner that you can draw for us. We've drawn one. We're going to be drawing a total of 4.
Don't look.
Going to be drawing a total of 4 winners. Here's the second one.
Are you nervous? You hoping it's you?
I do. I want to win because I will turn it into some kind of charity opportunity if I somehow win.
Well, let's see here. We'll look up the email address. Whose email address is this here?
Darn. If you got to look it up, then mine's pretty easy. So, darn.
Yeah, we'd probably know it by now, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So it looks like our next golden entry winner is Donnie Longton. Donnie Longton, he's out of Tinley Park, Illinois.
Tinley Park.
Illinois. Very nice.
South side of
Donnie Longton. Now we're getting around the country.
Yeah, south side of Chicago, Tinley Park. Very cool.
I like it. So we'll be contacting him directly. And then, so he'll be, again, on the list. We'll have the hug warmed up for you, but yep, no airfare, no lodging. Crisp high five.
I was fortunate enough to get some lodging thanks to
I thought
Mr.
you were going to say a hug.
No, well, that too. Thanks to Mr.
that too.
Murray a few weeks ago. I got to lob up another one for you. Every third Friday, you guys have doubles out at Vista. What does that mean for everyone?
Third Friday night golf out here is amazing. It's presented by Sierra Nevada. It's called Third Fridays Night Golf in the Park, presented by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. Ben, who you've had on here before with us, announcing them coming on as the beer sponsor for the Memorial Championship this year.
Okay.
He gives us prizes for first, second, third, closest to the pin. They buy some closest to the pin, and they buy some pitchers beforehand. So they give us a little aiming fluid, you get primed up. Then we head down to the park. We're right there hanging out on the back patio at Duke's. We were on the back patio last month. I'm sure we'll be on the back patio again this third Friday coming up is December 16th.
It's not going to be too chilly for you?
Yeah,
you know what? I mean, a little
48,
bit. You can have a sweatshirt.
48 degrees.
I mean, I know you're a Michigan boy, so you're probably
Originally.
but you've been in Arizona for a while. Your blood's probably getting a little thinner.
10 years. Well, not to mention, I was not a fan of the cold when I moved out here. Hence, one of the main reasons I'm moving out here. I mean, it was great. I loved everybody at Discraft. I wouldn't change anything the way it worked, but man, weather was such a huge thing. And really, what's funny is that the same thing happened. I finally turned my heat on out here, as a matter of fact, just a couple days ago. And
Got down to like 60.
Well, it did. But the lows in the 40s.
All
in
right,
the 40s.
all
So
right.
the same thing. It's just waking up to that. That's the bummer.
Fair enough. 40 degrees, a little bit chilly. We'll give you that. All right. Let's go ahead and pull that third winner.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
Are we ready?
Yeah, and then we'll go into some of the details for registration
Let's
opening
try to get
next
some
week.
East Coasters
Correct.
Crazy.
on the top.
Well,
here.
now we need maybe. There was a bunch in Texas, or maybe we'll get an Alaskan. We always get a bunch of people from Alaska.
Yeah, it's a very good group from Alaska.
The one guy that came here this year from Alaska said he hadn't worn gym shoes in like 6 months. I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. All right, so I'm guessing that's his name, and I'm going to double check it as well.
Yep, Terry at prodiscgolfer.com.
I don't think so.
There's a Tim, yep. And we'll see if there's probably a few Tims out there now that are chomping at the bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Let's
keep
see
suspense.
here.
The suspense is killing us.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
After all this last weekend, from Columbus, Ohio,
Okay.
Buckeyes.
I was just going to say,
Refs
that's...
gave him that game. The refs gave him that game.
yeah, okay.
All right, from Columbus, Ohio, we have Timothy Greenick. Timothy Greenick from Columbus, Ohio is our third Memorial Golden Entry winner. Congratulations, Timothy. We'll be in contact with you here shortly. With that being said, I do want to make a quick shout out because I've never been able to do this in December. Lions. First place, NFC North.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, it's been a long time
You're
since
right.
you've been able to do that.
93? I think 94? Oh, man. So
Yeah.
had to take that moment.
That's fine. That's fine. We're hoping to run the table and we'll catch you. That's our goal. So.
Right? No, you guys are definitely the ones I'm worried about. Seems like Minnesota, not so much. But with that being said, let me run down quick, too. We got registration actually opening for the Memorial Championship next Thursday.
Okay.
So that's a big thing for you to touch on as well.
Break it down for us.
This is to get these four folks in here now. The rest of the world is chomping at the bit for how do I get into the Memorial Championship. And really, registration is going to open up Thursday, December 15th. It's going to be 7 o'clock local time, so that makes it 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. Okay, so nice and late for folks, West Coasters, you might have to rush home a little bit to, get home from work.
They don't have jobs.
They'll be fine, right? Exactly. Exactly. You said it, not me. So basically, so 7 o'clock our time. Now that is going to be for 970 and above rated pros for the open division. If you want to play open, it's 970 and above. Everyone else, wide open.
All other divisions.
All other divisions, no restrictions. So then it's just go.
And registration can be found on?
DiscGolfScene.com.
Okay.
Our buddy over there, which I just saw you share that article today of them being absorbed by the PDGA or being taken by. He's done a great job. I mean, he has definitely gotten better and better every year. I remember early on not being able to incorporate and him going, just making sure whatever he needed to do on that website would work. And if I've ever had any issue, man, he is one that will contact you right back. So I look forward to keeping that relationship going, and that site has been nothing but great. I mean, we've sold out in a matter of 4 hours, 3-4 hours, 600 plus spots, and without a hitch. You know,
Good.
typically whenever there's an issue, human error. I hate to say it, but you know, more times than not, it's oops, you know, I didn't hit that last button, or you know.
Hey, you said it. People are dumb. I heard you say it.
It's just that they're in a hurry. People know that this sells out, and they are, you know, they're trying to quick finger it to get as fast as they can and to get into the Memorial, where everybody should be playing.
That's a good point. That's a great point, Johnny. Because not only is it a great competition out here, but it's the big kickoff to the year. A lot of these people are seeing everybody. You know, I mean, we're one of the few events where it's like, well, you know, we'll choose to go to the Memorial over anything because of the destination. You have spring training going on. Go catch a ball game. The Phoenix Zoo is a bike ride from Spinners, which we rent bikes as well. So, I mean, it just, you know, works out perfect. You know, everything is right here, and the weather couldn't be better. I mean, before when I would just come out here for Discraft, it was really tough going back home. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, flying back to the Midwest in March. Oh, God.
Yep.
So that's, again, one of the reasons I just wound up staying out here in 2007. It was just, you know, which is crazy. 10 years.
10 years, yes. And Spinners also celebrating an anniversary of sorts in that same sense. About 10 years of Spinners being right there and doing their thing right next to the course. It doesn't really get any closer or better than that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, since we can walk right on there or right on the path, it's one thing that's helped us out. And actually, they are, we're actually celebrating our 11th, rolling into our 12th. Yep. I moved out here a couple years into it. Dan and Sue had partnered up with a couple friends, and I think they thought it'd be more fun than work. So next thing you know, they were wanting out. And I was able, you know, that's when Dano hit me up. That was the big factor. You know, Dano hit me up and said, hey, we got partners looking to be bought out. How would you like to, you know, come down here and, you know, own Spinners with me and buy them out and with me and Sue? And I'm like, man, that sounds like a great idea, because these were really the folks that taught me about tournaments and everything. Sue on the back end, Dano on the front end, stuff like that. So I figured more time with them couldn't hurt, and especially more time out here. I mean, it's endless summer.
Yeah, it is nice being out there for the Phoenix Ladies Open. Was absolutely gorgeous, and it's seeing that course being played with the grass being a little bit greener. You guys telling me it's you know, the grass was not in its best condition still, and I thought it looked gorgeous for being out there. So good times, good courses, lots of fun, and it's become, as you said, it grows every year. And it's truly just, it's an overall event. You're playing one round of golf, but having all these other things going on and so many players from around the country, it makes it a no-brainer. And with being now part of the Pro Tour and everything, all the other madness that Steve Dodge incorporates with all of that, I think is going to make it quite an experience for people. Your overall capacity, before we give away that final ticket, overall capacities for when people are getting registered next week, and what they need to do to be eligible and to get registered, what do they need to do? Renew PDGA memberships, that kind of stuff.
Yep. We're going to want to make sure that you're PDGA current. You know, make sure you signed up current for 2017 before you register. It will kick you back if not. This year, being that we're not an NT, we don't have to worry about the test.
Okay.
Yes, so that's one less thing that I have to worry about. So then, yes, basically get current for 2017. Open 970 and above. Now we are still holding. We will have 48 pro spots or MPO and 12 ladies spots for the Disc Golf Pro Tour card holders. Now those will basically be held just like how it's 970 above. That will go to January 1st.
Okay.
So if there's anything left after January 1st, that would be opened up, and that is strictly in the open division.
Okay.
Just in the open division.
So don't dilly-dally. Working, or I've heard every excuse under the sun. Just do it today so you're ready to go next week.
If you think about it this way, if there's a rush, and there will be, to get into the Memorial, do you really want to be taking the extra time to have to renew your PDGA membership?
No,
those
you don't.
Those extra few minutes could make the determination of whether you're in or 15th on the wait list. So renew now. It'll save you time come Thursday.
Yeah, because if they wait too, they might back up on the PDGA side.
Exactly.
You know, now, next thing you know, they might be, you know, lagging processing memberships.
Yep.
And could bump you. So, yeah, do it now. You know, you have over a week to get current. It's so easy.
Yes.
You know, it's so easy to do. And you know you're going to do it. You know, it's
Yep.
a no-brainer.
Yep,
Or you can
exactly.
also, too, the other way to get in right now, sign up for that All Pass. I mean, $1,800, you're playing the whole series.
Yep, you can play every one of the Disc Golf Pro Tour has really two options right now. There's to sign up for the first half of the tour for $1,000. That gets you into the first 5 events, or you can sign up for the second half of the tour for $1,000 in those 5. Or obviously then the third option is to sign up. Actually, I don't think you can sign up for the second half.
Yeah, no, they have an all.
And then there's the all for $1,800. Yeah. So if you want to guarantee, that guarantees you your spot. And if you sign up for all 10 of them at once, you're actually getting a discount. So sign up for all of them, and you could be done with it that way as well, or get your sponsor to sign you up, or whatever the case might be.
Right, exactly.
All right, final drawing. I think I'm ready.
It's exciting.
One more ticket.
We're running out of odds for you, Terry. Sorry, buddy, but
I feel good about
appreciate the
this.
support nonetheless.
Shut up and pull my name.
There's still a chance. Still a chance. All right.
All right, pull
Saying
out.
there's a chance.
Here we go.
You can do it, Ashley.
Final entry into the memorial.
I'm hoping for an FPO player.
Yes.
Right? That'd be awesome.
Let's
I
get a
love
woman.
Oh God, it's another local.
That looks familiar.
Ah.
You're kidding me.
Who is it? It
Well,
looks
locals
familiar.
support the store probably more than anyone else, so odds are probably in their favor. And while you guys do that, I'm gonna repeat what Rebecca Duffy, our PDGA president, just said on the board. Even though your membership says right now you're current through 2016 and you're going to register for this event in 2016, you need to be current for 2017 to get registered when this rolls around. So don't be confused by that. Yes, you're current all the way through the end of this year, but you're signing up for an event next year, and this event requires that you're current. So please go out, pdga.com/join. We're going to say /join. And I think I'm right.
It's out there.
I just signed somebody else up the other day.
No, that's a great one. That's a great point because that's definitely something.
Yep.
I mean, in the years prior when we started doing that initially, it was certainly something
It
that
was a mess. Yeah, it could be messy.
Yeah.
All right, so your 4th golden ticket.
All right, so the 4th golden ticket
Creek.
goes to David Rico.
David
Rico, another
Rico.
Queen Creek, Arizona.
The
So
Lost
he is
Rico
another,
brother.
Man, another local. So 2 locals, and that's going to be, man, he's the open or master.
Oh, there's an
Yeah,
insult
that's
somewhere.
going to be open or
There
master.
could be an insult
Yeah.
buried somewhere there if he's not
Right?
of age.
Man, oh man, that's crazy. Wow.
If he's
so 2
34,
locals,
you just...
Little Illinois and Ohio.
Master.
Man, that's crazy. Awesome. Well, no,
Well-
man, that was awesome.
representation from Ohio and Illinois, if those guys are actually coming to make the trip. So that's pretty cool. And like you said, of course, you had probably a large influx of locals, stopping in the shop and making most of the purchases. But good to see, and we're super excited you guys could do the official name drawing here. If you could send me all 4 of the names, we'll also publish it on Smashbox, and they can go see this long drawn out drawing, so everybody can get the full scoop on how their name was picked.
Right,
Nice.
Exactly. Nope, I love it.
Yeah.
It's been great.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate the insights. We appreciate the details for next weekend, for next week's sign up. Again, that is 12/15. December 15th is when people need to sign up. And you said 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m.
yeah.
6 p.m.
Pacific.
Pacific.
9 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, and like
8 o'clock Central. Is that right? Or
I was gonna say
No.
like 4 in in Finland. I don't know.
oh man, actually, you know who needs to know? The Estonians. That's what I should have looked up.
there
and seen,
you go.
because we get so many Estonians. They actually have the Tour de Memorial events that lead up, and then the
Oh.
winner, they buy an entry for the winner of that series.
Oh,
So
very cool.
definitely shout out to all my friends in Estonia if you're watching.
There you go.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate the time. Again, all the details. Shop looks good. I think you need to front face a few of those discs, pull a few forward, and get things right before you get out of there for the night.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Have a
Thank-
good night. We'll see
thanks
you
a lot,
guys.
guys.
We'll see you guys
Thank
soon.
you already.
Take care.
All right. Bye now.
All right. See ya. And again, Ashley and Keith from Spinners on the Green out in Scottsdale, Arizona. Literally just feet away from the course. You can go in there and rent a bike. You can go in there and buy some discs. One of the best features that they offer at that place is the most extensive lost and found ever.
Correct.
I'm going to almost say thousands, maybe lots of hundreds of discs. They catalog them. They call you. They leave notes and messages there. You have, I don't know if it's 6 weeks or something.
So much time before they turn around and then sell them as used discs.
Yeah, and that's a long ways out before they do that. I want to say it's like 6 weeks or so. They have a coding system. It's pretty quite elaborate, actually. And I've said it before. I know Madison and a lot of pro shops offer some kind of lost and founds.
Mm-hmm.
They spend a lot of time on cataloging those discs. I mean, and that's it's not a big it's not a money proposition for them. It's really a customer service issue for them. And so if you people get calls, you're visiting down there.
It's not like there's any place to lose them at Vista.
Yeah, exactly. When you play it up Vista or Fountain Hills. So definitely check in. I don't know if the inventory is or is not online too, possibly. I think it is. So there's a good way to go out and try and find some of your old plastic. If you were a buddy,
there may be a few of my pieces in there.
Still probably. Ashley is telling us, 6 to 8 weeks is when they usually hold them for. They'll call you and notify you, and then it may get thrown into circulation, but they give you plenty of time to at least make some arrangements. They'll ship it to you if you just want to pay for the shipping. They do a really good job over there. Hey, Ronald Harkey. I like that one. Ronald says they should call it Tossed and Found.
Either one.
I can appreciate that, Ronald. That's a good call. All right. We've got actually a bunch of other things that I think came up today.
We do have some news. Jeepers.
Does your news match up with my news? That's the first question.
I bet you there's a nice Venn diagram overlap.
Okay.
Well,
What do you got? What's next?
Let's start with something that Keith Murray just alluded to, the PDGA acquiring the website Disc Golf Scene.
First question, and I know Keith just said it, and I quickly perused the article. Acquire, is that the right word?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
They acquired the website, and it's Peter Christ? Is that
yes.
Peter Christ, who ran the website for the past 7, I think, or 8, 10 years, about the past 10 years, is now a PDGA employee.
Yes.
He's working with Steve Gans. He was what's known as the lead developer. So he'll be working with website, mobile, a lot of the apps to get it integrated into the PDGA's website, to work with Disc Golf Scene to get it integrated into the website. So it will, I think that's one of the things that the PDGA has sorely missed out on, is having a really good registration system integrated in with the PDGA. Now, they do have open, with their in the development work, called APIs. They're different hooks so that your registration system can work with the PDGA to do things. But this will be a direct integration. I think this will end up being way better than even what they can probably provide to outside vendors. So I'm looking forward to it. We've been using Disc Golf Scene for couple of years. We used to use it for our league.
Yeah, Disc Golf Scene, I feel like, really burst onto the disc golf scene with a great place to host your tournament and league results. And I was a huge proponent of it. Very useful. Of course, it wasn't until the last few years we've seen PDGA sanctioned leagues. So most leagues are still to this day not sanctioned by the PDGA. So it was always a really good central location. It was in many ways certainly as a social networking site as well.
Yep.
And so being able to tag and earn awards and all these different things, having profiles and courses played. There's a lot of different things you can do on the site. And just really league results was I feel like their number one component for the longest time. And I remember having private messages back and forth with Pete talking about online registration, as he was just, I think that was even prior to him officially dipping his toe into it.
Yeah.
And then with the success of the site and everything, he then moved into doing actual online registration and then continuing to develop it further. And it was really no secret. I've hosted an online registration site now since I want to say 2006 or so, maybe even before that. I've had a couple different iterations, and I remember asking Pete for specific advice about wanting to do something or how something could be done. I think even at one point I said to him, is it possible to somehow either hire you or work with you or pay you to fix the few of the things that were going on my site? Well, he clearly had a vision that continued to grow and expand from the day that he started putting the site together himself. So
yeah, and as Country Disc Golf points out, the article said it would still be run on its own entity, and it won't be required to be used. So you can still go out and use Disc Golf United or IRO or I don't even know the other ones that are out there. That's how
there's other ones.
Yeah, there's other ones. I place a little register. Everything I play is usually run by you, and we do it through IRO. So yeah, so it's still out there. A couple of things I'm looking forward to, and I've used, and I think now that Pete's a full-time employee, he can do things. I'll be looking forward to an updated website. That the website is very functional, but it looks like it's from 2009. Like just the aesthetics of it. I'll be looking forward to maybe him being able to set some time aside to maybe update and refresh the web page, because I think it kind of needs it. And I would say maybe even the PDGA website could use a little nip and tuck here and there. It's only a couple years old, but even it has, I think it's a little bit busy at times, and the aesthetics of what's popular online are always changing.
Correct, which makes it so hard.
Correct,
obviously, to keep up. And so I think to further all of this, the addition of having Pete come in as a PDGA employee is long overdue. And what it's going to really allow is for Steve Gans, who was brought on a number of years ago, to further dive into the things that are on his to-do list, which are hundreds, if not thousands, of items long, and for him to be able to finally delegate and or prioritize in a way that he's got someone capable to do some of the things. Everything that's probably on Steve Gans's 1,000 bullet point list, he could do. It's just a matter of time and priority. And now I think having Pete come on board is going to allow some of those things to,
he'll be able to catch up.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know if you'll ever be able to do that because there's so much.
There's always going to be a list, but I'm saying he'll be able to make traction. Maybe that's a better word.
Exactly. So that's really exciting to see. I know Steve, for many years, in talking to him about online registration stuff and whatnot, said that Pete was an incredibly talented guy and has been a big fan of the work that he's done. And so you can't say this is necessarily a surprise to have this all go down the way that it has. And a lot of talk around like the executive director being appointed and sought after versus elected and all these different types of things. I think that what we're seeing as needs become more and more apparent with the PDGA, sometimes roles and positions are kind of carved out of exactly the needs that they're going to fulfill. And I think of Marty Gregoire from our PDGA media manager, same idea. He really realized, I think we all realized, there were certain things that needed to be addressed, and Marty was an expert in that field. And he originally had done some volunteer work, certainly proved himself, and then next thing you know, we have a position that is ultimately approved, and he's kind of a perfect fit for that. So it's great to see. I've said it at least for 10 years now. The 6 or 8 or 10 people now that are at the PDGA feels like it should easily be doubled or tripled in terms of the amount of workload and things they have and the list that they have. So it's quite astonishing to know that so much work has always been gotten done with 6 people, or when it used to be 4 or 3 or whatever the number was. One thing I wanted to point out earlier, too, when talking about Brian Graham and kind of, we'll say, the legacy of him in disc golf, one of the big things that was part of Brian when he came onto the PDGA was helping that transition from the headquarters being ultimately in Canada, then coming to Augusta or outside of Augusta. It's actually in Appling, Georgia, which is Wildwood. It's in Wildwood County Park. And that was really a lot of undertaking that Brian, and I don't recall every single detail all these years later, but that was a huge undertaking that Brian had taken on to help bring the PDGA headquarters to the specific place that it's at. the rent and the agreement and all the land, all of that stuff was shaped and molded and kind of started by Brian and the rest of the transition team. And I think some people maybe underplay just how the role and the significance of creating our International Disc Golf Center down there. So if you haven't been there, make sure you check it out. There's tons of land, but there's also 3 or 4 amazing courses. Of course, there's a pro shop and the Hall of Fame and the Steady Ed Hedrick Museum, all those things, along with all of our staff members, or most of our staff members from the PDGA that are in there. So huge accomplishment for what Brian did, and that was really just starting off his career officially with the PDGA and its headquarters. So anyway, Rebecca Duffy, I did a little snooping. Pete and I are not friends. Pete, like myself, I think, and you,
friends on Facebook,
are not friends on Facebook. But I did notice him, like you and I, for someone who's so involved with disc golf and kind of lives and breathes it just about whenever he's not at his regular job. He's only played 2 tournaments this last year. So clearly he's doing other things. He's only been able to play 2 tournaments. And again, I think it's just because he's so busy with all the other things that he's doing. But it looks like he's he does some acting.
He looks like he's in the local theater.
Yeah, local theater. He's a programmer. He's got a full, holds down a regular full-time job.
Looks some sort of engineering manager at Barracuda Networks, which does a lot of, which is why he's got a technology background.
Good-looking fella. Is there anything this guy doesn't do? I don't know. Seems like the man. So very cool, and congratulations to him. I'll segue just for a moment. As you said, I've hosted an online registration site. I'm not a programmer.
No, you're not.
At all.
No,
I never was.
Not at all.
Many, many, many years ago, we're talking 10 plus years ago, there was really one major online registration site for disc golf. And by major, it was the only, in my opinion. And that was Title Disc was the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some things that frustrated me in terms of their services and things that they were doing. And from that point, I had worked with someone to get more or less a shopping cart up and running. In fact, I did the registration for the Memorial, I want to say like 2005 or so, something like that. It was a long time ago. And after using that system for a little while, I was frustrated with the limitations of it. It was essentially a free shopping cart that I customized into a disc golf registration service. And then from there, I started to develop, or worked with some local developers in the Milwaukee area to create an online registration system. Let me back up. I remember also taking registrations through PayPal for one of my earlier tournaments in like 1999. I was pushing PayPal. And at that time, if you got someone to sign up for PayPal, you got a $5 credit. So I was like, go use this service. And we were just trying to get people to sign up and use it. So I'm being a tournament director forever, online, any pre-registration. I don't care how you pre-register. I just want you to pre-register. Online was the obvious way to go. So that was kind of where running all these tournaments, that's where it led me into being so passionate about online registration. And then I was really let down by these locals that kind of developed something from scratch, and my service has always worked, although it's always had a few quirks and kinks and things I didn't like about it. And we saw that the PDGA fulfillment was also being done in a lot of ways online by another service that was doing PDGA membership fulfillments. And that seemed like it had a few challenges, just like mine did, and it kind of went back and forth. And to make a really long story short, I was always promised or thought there was going to be this really grand request for proposal, this RFP for online registration service to partner with the PDGA, and it just never really happened. And I know that had it happened, I would have been more inclined to go out and invest more money in the services. And now we see Disc Golf United, Disc Golf Scene, Dynamic Disc has done their own online registration. Now there's been a number of them. I know there's one out in the Northwest that does amazing things for their local events. I guess the real question here of the story is, besides me missing out on opportunities and not being more diligent, the question for me is, where should any organization draw that line as to, things that are just inherently bought or consumed or partnered with versus things that are put out for proposal?
I don't know. That's clearly a business decision overall.
And ultimately whose?
I would assume,
especially in a membership type organization like ours.
The board.
Okay.
The board makes that decision. And I'll say this about the current state of most online registration. It's okay. I think I can think of 10 ways to make them better.
Sure.
You know, what I would love to see, and I'm going to give away some secrets, so I want you all to listen to.
Wait, let me jot these down.
I would love to see an email sent out the night before an event that has weather predicted for the next day, maps to the course, times, hopefully like a players meeting time, all that stuff sent out the night before. So I register for an event. You as a TD have put in an event in this registration system that says, okay, well, we are playing at Gray Fox, 8:30 is the players meeting. Here's a map, because the PDGA has access to all of that.
Correct.
Well, I mean, you could enter
the tournament director.
The tournament director puts that in there, but as far as a map to the course, so that the night before at 6, 7, 8 o'clock, this email gets sent to me with all this information on the event I'm playing the next day. So if it's a Saturday event, Friday night, I get this email that says, "Oh, that's right, cool. It's right on my phone. Click, add it in there as a thing." The next morning, there's a map in case it's a place I haven't been. There's a lot of ways that hopefully they can look at and make this registration better. And right now, you can argue, it's on the player. Of course it is. It's always going to be on the player. But there are ways to make things better. There's reminders as far as push reminders on your phone and all that good stuff. I would hope that it's a direction that eventually some of these will go into.
Well, I think the number one, and I think those are great additions and things we could see implemented for lazy people like yourself. But I think the number one thing that needs to be addressed, and this is generically speaking, of course, is the sheer server
load,
server load, robustness.
Balance.
Is that all of those things?
That comes with, there's development costs there, and there's expansion costs. I mean, working as a system admin that I am, and an IT manager, you can build these things, and I'm sure Steve Gans has looked into this, and it's expensive, that auto scale depending on the load that it's getting. But all that has to be configured and set up. And most of these small registration companies that we've seen are probably renting out a server out of some data center, and that's it. And they're not looking at huge scaling, because most of them will probably never see more than 50 people hit it at a time. But it's when you do see things like the Memorial
Opens or
the Gentleman's Club or the Glass
Gentleman's Club,
where suddenly you have 2, 3, 4,000 people trying to hit your website at once, that it just brings it to its knees.
Yeah.
And if you're going to volunteer or be a registration for those events, you need to think about that, and you do need to look at scaling it, whether it's temporary or whether it's full time, that you can have some sort of load balancer and auto scaling. So that is an important thing, because people do get burned by that.
Well, and just to give up 2 examples, last year there was a few disappointed or frustrated people as the Amateur Worlds Championships was announced. You nailed it on the head. Literally thousands of people trying to hit those servers at the exact same time to register for what's really 500 or 600 spots or whatever the case was. And then similarly, a few weeks ago, we saw a little bit of a minor uproar for the Gentlemen's Club. Again, these events are really popular. People want to get in. I think there could be something to say about spacing, but that's another story. But those are situations where, like you said, any service, no matter who it is, public or private, PDGA or otherwise, they need to take those things into consideration if they're going to get hit that hard on any given event. Because it's one thing that you have to sit by a computer and get registered for a tournament, because you're hitting refresh a million times. You're trying to do all these different things. It's another thing when you just flat out don't get in to a tournament and it's purely a technical challenge.
Sure. Yeah,
that just sucks, and it sucks for anyone, pro or am alike. It sucks for everybody for that to happen.
Kevin McCoy, our one of our 2 board members out on the
actively listening that we know of. Maybe the entire board's listening to us right now, just ready to
they are
to be excited or yell at us. One of the two,
waiting for us to say something stupid and wrong. He says that the registration part was really only about 5% of why they hired him. His website was about 20%, and really his technology experience, because what happens if something does happen to Steve Gans. And that's a good point. Pete is pretty knowledgeable in web development. He's knowledgeable in networking, and he's a good tech guy to have. He really is.
I was never.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I was never second guessing.
Just filling it out for our
sure.
listeners. That's another reason why they brought Pete on board, and it makes sense because there should be some redundancy for certain positions in important things.
Absolutely, and we all, like we said, really, to me, I never second guessed any of it in the fact that if Gans' technology request and list is 1,000 deep, he's treading water with them as he's fighting through them.
That's right.
And so just to cut that workload down for me was more than a good enough logic or response to all of it. So very interesting news. Again, we're seeing. Seeing Brian Graham as he's going to transition and help, and during the times where we get a new executive director in, but then also seeing a new employee come into the fold, starting on January 1st. So some transitions taking place. It's going to be interesting. Now, there was a rumor swirling around about a few of our board members or presidents and all that stuff. I've confirm. In speaking with Rebecca Duffy, she is in fact our PDGA board president. Her term goes through next year. Whether or not she'll be rerunning at that point, that's for her to decide. But she is in fact our board president and maintains that position through next year. So, good night, Steve Osmond. Thanks for joining us.
All right, why don't you pick something off your news list?
Well, you had one of the one or two. I'm going to quickly touch on Madam Miss President Rebecca Duffy. She had announced today on her Facebook page, because if it's not, I don't know why she wouldn't have saved it to announce it on Smashbox, where she'd get it. No, but she is in fact offering up a contest, and how she worded it is that any pro that's touring around is eligible, but as she says, you're going to have to work for this $800 prize, in that you have to write an essay, and it has to lay out some of the things you do in disc golf for your community, so on and so forth. You go to her page and check it out, but essentially it's an essay contest, and you could earn yourself $800 towards touring next year, and it's pretty exciting to see. So our PDGA board president, Rebecca Duffy, offering up. I don't believe this is I didn't see any relation to any manufacturers or sponsors. I believe she's taking $800 out of her little old pocket herself and handing it out. So
she probably sold one of her bows.
She does some great work with bows and arrows.
Bows and arrows. I
things.
Watch on Facebook. Watch her hit something from 100 feet away.
She'll throw
something.
an axe at your head too.
I believe that. I've heard that.
Yes.
And she's very accurate with that, from my understanding.
Yes, and she'd hit your head. So go check that out. It's pretty cool. And I apologize, I don't remember the exact details in terms of the time frame, but I'm sure she's going to give everyone a little bit of time to possibly reply to that and write an essay.
All right.
You should submit one.
I'm not a touring pro.
Okay.
I'm barely a pro.
Yeah. That's
ratings says I'm not.
I'll wrap it up real quick and say your personal essay will have to include why you deserve this money and, most importantly, what you have done for disc golf. List your community involvement, charities, etc. She doesn't care about how many followers you have. She cares about your community involvement and how you help out other people in and out of our sport. Put some thought into it. You have until December 21st to submit your essay. And the winner will be announced right here on Smashbox. Oh, I included that. On Smashbox on January 9th. All right, she didn't say there, but maybe we'll get her to do it here.
It'd be fantastic.
Is that a Tuesday?
Who knows?
Well, she should do it on a Tuesday, not a Monday.
All right. My turn.
Okay.
The WFDF, the WFDF.
I thought you were going to swear at me.
No. Not at all. It was announced that in conjunction with the PDGA, WFDF, will be holding the 2017 World Team Disc Golf Championships in, I believe it's pronounced Colchester, over in Europe. So at the University of Essex.
Nice.
Yeah. August 23rd through 26th. And I'm looking at the article on InsideTheGames.biz. There's I did a quick a little Google search to find this. That it says here the WFDF's technical director, Charlie Mead, coordinated with the PDGA regarding the event, with the organizations determining the competition will be a, and this is in quotes, major event. I don't know if there's a little bit of confusion as to far as whether it's going to be a major versus just a major event, as in a large event, not necessarily our technical term.
Not literally a major?
Not literally a major. It is on the same weekend as the final, I believe it's the final NT in Pittsburgh. No, we have different final NT this year. That is
at the headquarters.
It's at the headquarters, yeah. But it is the same weekend, August 23rd, as the Pittsburgh NT event. So it says here, Essex University has a long history of hosting, I'm just going to say WFDIF's World Ultimate and Overall Championships and PDGA-sanctioned National and European Disc Golf Championships. So they're delighted to have these organizations working together in 2017.
Awesome.
So I would be curious. I know we've got some board members out there as to whether or not this is an actual major, or if it's just a major event. I'd have a hard time believing they'd schedule an NT and a major on the same weekend.
No, yeah, because you're not going to get.
I think you'd have a hard time getting a turnout for that.
Our players will be in their East Coast swing, Pro Tour, National Tour, all of that other stuff. I think our players are going to be pretty involved in our swing. What I am going to be interested, and I guess we can catch up on it maybe a little bit later, just watching the Aussie Open registrations, that being the first major of the year, and as we said, whether it was Paul that Macbeth that had a few comments, or a Nate and a Val who said they weren't going to go. I'll be interested to see what kind of participation we get from people outside of, I'll say people from the U.S. I was going to say outside Australia, but people from the U.S. That's what I'll be curious to see how that goes. And
just for a couple more details, it says this is the second edition of the championships, which will be seeing 24 countries competing across 4 different divisions. The teams will have the option to bring as many as 12 players to help keep their team fresh, with 6 designated to play in each round. So they're looking to get 6 pros from the United States out there, at least minimum.
All right. Makes perfect sense. Again, for those listening along, Rebecca Hall Duffy is who you can find. Her Facebook's going to be blowing up even more, but Rebecca Hall Duffy. Actually, if you just go to facebook.com/Rebecca Hall Duffy, HallDuffy, that's where you can see her original post. A few people are on the board asking where they can find it and the details. That's where it is, and she's also posting on the board, so we're not blowing up her account here too much. All right, so I'm going to move over to how about I'm going to make an announcement. It's not so crazy. Speaking of major events, this is going to be a major event here in southeastern Wisconsin on December 31st, New Year's Eve party. That'll happen during the day, so you can still party at night, hopefully with your massive player pack. I'm going to be hosting the Chaining in the New Year. PDGA C-Tier. I've been doing this the last 4 or 5 years. Again, it's a great way to earn the final possible points you can towards any AM or Pro Worlds for next year, if that's a concern of yours. However, in the dark a little bit and in the snowstorm on Sunday, me and my pal Dustin traveled about 45 minutes south of where we're at right now and checked out a new course in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And Lincoln Park is the name of it.
Like the band?
Yep, exactly. I think we're going to have them as special guests.
Awesome.
New Year's Eve, duh. And
what else would they be doing?
Exactly. And it's going to be a C-Tier. I'd love for you guys to join. It's going to be similar to the Cold Turkey that I hosted a few weeks ago, in that I'm going to go with a player pack / trophy only option. Well, not option. That's your only option. We won't do traditional payouts. We're going to do a relatively heavy players pack. And first ever PDGA sanctioned event at this course. So making a little plug.
How's the course?
It's fun. It's no good in fresh snowfall on those tees. Those tees I was not a fan of. They're brand new. The course is only a year or two old, not even. It's the tees were a little slick. I wish they would have broomed or brushed them
the
a little coarser. And of course, it was fresh snowfall, and I like playing in snow. I don't have a problem with it. But this was the wettest of the wet, nasty, slushy, horrible snow. That part wasn't pleasant. The course is very birdie friendly. Yeah, it's fun.
Okay,
you are not going to be you won't lose a disc on that course unless there's a ton of snow. The rounds are going to go relatively quickly. There's plenty of birdies to be had. It's a fun course. It's a piece of property I looked at years ago and worked with the city a little bit, talking about trying to get it approved, and then ultimately another group had worked in order to kind of forge it forward to get it pushed in, and they even had more holes designed than I did. I thought using a portion of the park we'd just fit 9 holes in, and they ended up using the entire park, some extra space I didn't think would necessarily work, but they've got 18 holes there, including kind of the signature hole is like a 260 to 280 clearing straight over a river.
Wow.
Yeah, it's and in bad footing.
A little daunting.
It was, and I'm not normally worried about that distance, but in horrible footing.
Yeah, that's what in that type of weather.
I just hung it out way wide. I cleared it, but
Nice.
easily, but. It was, so yeah, December 31st, PDGA C tier. You'll see it on the PDGA calendar in the next couple days. It should be a lot of fun. We have a lot of, I mention it mainly because we do have a lot of Wisconsin and Illinois listeners. So, yeah, come up and play, and look for that on iregisteredonline.com, my online registration service, in the next few days as well. So, yeah, first time ever. Excited to work with the club. Should be a good time and a pretty easy day in and out. So. I had that to announce.
All right. The only other thing that I saw was it looked like we're coming into 2017, and we're going to start seeing some players change sponsors, acquire sponsors,
lose sponsors, switch
sponsors, all that good stuff. We saw Tina Stenitis.
Nice. Yep.
Announced that she is now sponsored by Dynamic Disc.
That she is.
She is, and she actually made a post out there asking, as a touring pro, how do you make ends meet? And I know we've kind of already discussed this and talked about it a little bit last week with Barsby during the off season, and so I just kind of wanted to say, good job. I know Eric Oakley, her travel partner, and I believe significant other.
Don't say it. Oh.
I said significant other. Is also on Dynamic Disc. So the two of them team up, and they are Team Whale Pants.
Yes, they are.
So congratulations to them, and we'll hopefully see a lot of stuff from them on 2017.
I think we're going to hear a lot more sponsorship talk. One thing we've seen recently, if you're a small or petite woman or looking for maybe a child, or your son's a big fan, Paige Pierce selling some of her Prodigy shirts. So those are available. We've seen Paige on a little bit of a, I don't know if she's having a Prodigy fire sale, but there's been a lot of Prodigy discs that she's been offering up. Some very special ones.
A fire starter?
Yes.
By Prodigy?
Yes, exactly.
A twisted fire sale?
So some of those are available. One would lead to know for sure that she's switching sponsors. I don't know if I hinted at that well enough or not, but
maybe.
When you're seeing,
yeah, I mean, it's not just that she's any of those people could be selling whatever they're selling. It's all the other clues that we've seen throughout the year. So
one or two other clues.
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll address that more in about 3 to 4 weeks.
Anything can happen in 2017. I think
right.
Paige would update that statement with. So, very, very cool. But that's out there as well. So we'll continue to see more sponsorship action unfold. I'm going to go ahead and huge tip of the cap, figuratively, to our pals over at Central Coast. They had made an announcement in the last week or so. I think they eclipsed 25,000 subscribers. Subs, sorry. Yep. 25,000 subs. And I think they're over 7 million views is the secondary number. But they're 25,000 subscriptions. Awesome. They've got this massive team of people that always collaborate in order to help put out all these videos, and they're doing a great job over there. So congrats to those guys over Ian and the whole crew that have been working so tirelessly over at Central Coast. So congrats, our media brethren. And speaking of media, the other thing we saw recently, Simon Lizotte out doing a poll, saying
is that how you want to phrase that?
Well, he said, should he be turning tricks or should he be focusing on winning? I think I think those were his words. Simon, maybe it's the
it must be the language barrier.
German, the German English. But he had asked in saying, hey guys, would you rather see me winning tournaments or performing cool trick shots? And he said today, he goes, I was actually shocked that it wasn't closer to being a 50-50 split. More people came back and said, yeah, focus on winning tournaments. And he said he was shocked by that reaction. I'll admit I'm a little bit shocked too. I figured a lot more people would say, hey, keep up with the trick shots. Those are cool. It unofficially broke down. He said almost 1,000 of you voted, and 65.6% said play smart and win tournaments. That was one option. Mm-hmm. And then 2-1 at 30%, people said be crazy and entertain the crowd. Excuse me. And 4.3% said I don't care. So he said he was expecting 50-50. But he's glad you guys want to see him play smart and get some wins. He's excited about next year. So,
all right.
And I think one final pro tip. In speaking with Drew Gibson yesterday, both via Facebook and by his post, he says getting a tattoo directly on a bone, such as an elbow, doesn't feel good. So I'm just throwing it out there. You and I are both currently tattoo free. And so we wouldn't know from experience, but
I imagine that hurts.
Rumor has it, Drew Gibson.
I can imagine the elbow, maybe the front of your shin would probably be a very painful spot.
Right on the bridge of your nose.
Yeah.
I guess, is that cartilage, and would that hurt? Let's find out. Somebody could probably let us know.
I imagine the skull would hurt a lot. Maybe not.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if I got anything else on here. That was most of my list for goodies. We may have some more additional stuff in the after show, but I think that's the goodies. Maybe in the after show, we're going to switch it up a little bit. Let's review just a couple of tournament results. Since we didn't do anything around, we'll save those for the after show. We're going to really switch it up on you tonight.
Wow.
Because normally we talk tournament results within the regular show. But one thing I will quickly touch on.
No.
If you haven't seen it, I did in fact release the Nantucket Skins match from Friday, but I'll save that. I'm going to save that for the after show.
Thanks.
We'll
Let's close this up.
Oh, you're in a hurry. You got somewhere to be to wrap up our show to talk about other stuff on our other show.
That's right. We got other shows to do.
Yeah, it does. All right, folks. It's been a great night. It's been roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes. Of course, we want to thank our very special guest, our 4- and 3-time world champions in Valarie Jenkins and Nate Doss. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks to all our Smashies for tuning in, listening, providing some feedback here. Thanks to Keith Murray, along with Ashley, over at Spinners on the Green, the 4 golden tickets drawn for their entry into the Memorial. Remember, registration is opening on December 15th for everyone, so make sure you're renewed with the PDGA, and you're good to go for December 15th. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's podcast number 122. We're going to get into some wild and crazy stuff in the after show, so stick around. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smash Box. Dun dun dun! Welcome everyone. This is my Smashbox podcast.
Please donate to us for dictation lessons and good speaking skills.
That's because I'm drunk.
You're drinking an energy drink, which I don't know if I've ever seen you drink. Is
Well,
that
there
a
was
rock
just
star?
there was just a swallow left. I had started earlier.
So you found it with a swallow left and you picked it up?
No.
Like, okay.
I started it hours ago.
I know. I'm just saying in general, I haven't. I don't know if I've ever seen you drink an energy drink.
Very rarely. I've had less than, I think, I'd almost go as far as saying I've had less than a dozen in my life.
I'd say for me, I've had less than a handful. And every energy drink I've ever drank has usually been accompanied by alcohol.
Oh, I'm not like that.
And it's just usually like, you're trying, someone gives you a Red Bull and something or other, whatever.
I don't know what
it
you're
is.
talking about.
That's the only time I've ever had them because they don't appeal to me.
Well, we're here for the after show. We did just get done a short while ago talking with Nate and Val, along with our friends over at Spinners on the Green, regarding the memorial, which is only there's probably a countdown somewhere, maybe on Disc Golf Pro Tour. That event is January, February, March. Yeah, 3 months away. It'll be done in 3 months.
That's scary. That scares me.
Yeah, so there's plenty of things and exciting stuff as we move into 2017. But tonight we can go over a few other things.
Let's talk a little bit about the big event of the weekend.
Okay.
Out of Union, Canada.
Yes.
The Union presented by Sun Life Financial. No.
I think they say that there.
No. All right. Field of 30 open players taking down the open field, shooting a 23 under par.
What?
Winning $1,200. Rated 1,009. PDGA number 39469. Martin Hendel.
Oh, you just kept teasing me there.
I did. Winning over Ziggy, Troy Whidden, and Zach Melton.
Yes.
So that's a solid field for Martin to take that down. Martin was the second highest rated player there. Not so much a household name.
No, and one reason for that
because he's from Canada.
Is because he's from Canada. I know I've seen him at a number of events. Obviously, a solid player, being rated 1,009. However, he's typically playing up in Canada. He was also at the World Championships year, the Brent Hambrick, and the Glass Blown, along with the Memorial. So there were really only a handful of times that we saw him here on our side.
Yeah, not bad. He's won $6,206 Canadian dollars, which I believe boils down to like $50,000 US.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's how that works.
I think it does.
Yeah. Okay.
Check my conversion rates later.
I will.
So congratulations to Martin on that. In the open women field, it was a field of 4, and one of our favorites taking down the championship. Is this her first A-tier win?
I believe that it is. I know I sent her a message on Sunday, and I said something like, I saw you had the lead. I'm trusting that you held on to it. Otherwise, this is awkward. So congrats on what I believe is your first A-tier win.
Yeah. Rated 921, winning $500, besting the field by 6 strokes. Madison Walker taking down the A-tier win for $500, beating Sandy Hendel.
Who, yes, in fact is.
I'm assuming related to Martin Hendel. I'm not going to say one way or the other whether it's a sister, maybe it's a wife, maybe it's an aunt. I don't know. Maybe just everyone up there is named Hendel.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go on the limb.
Mr. Hendel, yeah.
I'm going to make the assumption that they are related in some sort.
They're husband and wife.
Husband and wife. Congratulations to Sandy taking second place. Went for $300. Masters Field, Dave Northrup takes that down. Advanced Field, Thomas Gilbert winning that. So congratulations to everybody up in Canada for your A tier.
Yay! I see what you did there. I believe also we've seen the return of Mick Fly So High. And I don't mean via Prodigy's page. Marty McFly, released a video, what is today, Tuesday the 6th, as the time of this recording, released a video with some event coverage from that event. And
Wow.
it is found, in fact, on McFly So High's channel versus where you would typically see it, which is on the Prodigy channel. So
There must be some sort of agreement based on what he's covering, time of the year.
correct. Yeah,
Something along those lines.
I'm again, without knowing for sure, I think there's certain contractual obligations towards when Prodigy has him doing certain things for certain events. This was an event that was outside that scope or realm, and as he said, he found himself up in Canada and was covering the event. So I think we're going to see some coverage on McFly So High's channel on YouTube, which I don't think has been populated that much because he's obviously been posting
Doing
and contracted
way more
under,
Prodigy stuff.
under Prodigy. So I'm going to speak. You got another event you want to talk about first?
No, go ahead,
Okay.
go and talk.
So as we're doing that, one of the things that we wanted to talk about was if you're a Smashy, you know that we covered the Nantucket Open live during, I think it was September 9th or 10th. It was September 10th on Nantucket Island. And that was first and second round. However, there was a Friday skins match, and then there was a Raz round 3-hole skins match on Saturday night, which was one of the most intense things I've ever seen. And although both rounds were covered on Smashbox and they're out there, they're still live. They're archived as our live footage. But then I assembled the 8 holes skins match, and it was 8 holes with 8 players. So it was 4 men and 4 women. They had to qualify. There was a qualifier to get into it, so on and so forth, and $2,000 on the line, which is
wow.
pretty substantial for an afternoon worth of work, especially when you got some world champs in there and everything else. So that was released as of Tuesday the 16th, or Tuesday, December 6th, sorry. Also, so if you want, check that out. Here's what I want to say about it. When we arrived, this all kind of happened very quickly in order to make any coverage happen, both recorded and live. And we worked with Dana Vici, one of our favorite Smashies here, and usual contributors. And this skins match was very loose. There was Jeremy Colling was literally dragging a speaker behind him that was hooked up to a microphone, and he was closer to the players and to the tee area where we had one camera. And then I was working a camera and had Dana kind of tethered to me doing commentary as well. And we used some of the footage back and forth to put together the skins match. And Dana had his commentary, Germ kind of had his, and at about 2/3 of the way through, I kind of switched off of what Dana was doing and focused on Jeremy's commentary and kind of let that camera and that audio come through more. And with just this video being up as of a few hours here on Tuesday night, Dana's taken some heat. Some people...
A little too loose?
Well, some people felt as if he was maybe, I think one of the terms was unnecessarily mean. And Dana was just having a good time. It was all in jest. It was...
I was going to say, if there's...
It was meant in fun.
If there's one word I would not use to describe Dana, it would be mean.
Yeah, he is not. And... I think some people are just missing the mark a little, and there's no one that understands that better than me. There's plenty of things that I say that sometimes miss the mark unintentionally, and Dana's suffering from a little of that. Some of the early feedback that's come in, he's been challenged. There's been some naughty words said to him that people weren't enjoying it.
If I could say something to Dana, I would say he's been on the broadcast for a handful of events live. And he's always knocked it out of the park. He's always done a phenomenal job, and I think that maybe either someone isn't, maybe it wasn't his. I haven't listened to it or watched it. Maybe it wasn't his best outing. Maybe it just came across wrong. Maybe it was the wrong. Maybe he did say something slightly off color. Not off color. That's the wrong word. Something that someone could find offense in or harshness in. But you know what? Dana's a trooper, and he's going to get back behind the mic.
No, he's fired.
Aww.
Sorry, Dana. One and done.
You get one mess up.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just kidding. I told Dana I fully back him and support him. He came out firing, and he had a few funny comments out there. He hadn't seen it since it had gone down, and so when I put up the video today, he watched it. And he said, I literally laughed out loud at a few of the things.
I laughed at myself. How funny
So
am
he
I?
even, all this time, and so I want to put it on record. I support the intention that he had, which was to be funny and to keep this incredibly loose. He has a good relationship with every one of the players. None of those players are going to go home and be
Except
mad
for Germ. Germ hates him.
and be mad or upset with him. And the funny part is, had we given you just, in my opinion, had we given you just Germ's commentary from where the players were and his PA,
Yeah.
I think he said far more offensive or harsh things than even what Dana did. So Big Germ's getting a little bit of a pass here because his last few holes were pretty mild. But it's out there. It's available. It's all in good fun. We wanted to show off the Nantucket course a little bit more, and these players being loose and having a good time, and Dana having a good time with it. Someone says maybe Dana's Darth of Empathy on the board says Dana's commentary was out of context, and that could be it too. Some people maybe we didn't set it up well in the original interview leading into the event.
Sure.
That a certain format was going to be used. And then it may have come off harsher than it was really intended.
Well, what I always say is these pros need to suck it up and deal with this type of criticism.
Well, sure.
I don't care if it's an NT or a major. I want to be standing behind them and
Heckling them?
heckling them while
Well,
they
and here's the
play.
funny part is.
That's what this particular skins was, right?
No, and here's the kicker. No.
Oh, no,
That's during the Raz round.
Oh, the Raz round.
No, this
Okay.
skins anything that Dana said, essentially or virtually no one heard.
Correct, because he was just recording to the camera.
Yeah, he was recording to the camera, so our players weren't hearing. And even if they did, he's good friends with all of these players that none of them would have turned around and been like, "Huh? Are you kidding me?" and wanted to punch him or anything. It was all meant in jest. And again, I understand as well as anyone that not everyone knows or realizes that, so it could have come off that way. But I want to stand up for Dana because the instruction was, I don't know if I instructed him, but I mean the premise was totally fine that he was going to be loose with it.
All right.
And had I talked more while recording,
Enough said.
I would have probably joined him. So maybe I'm glad I didn't. Anyway, it's out there. Look for the Raz round. That's going to be hilarious. Let me just tell you that.
Hilarious.
Yes.
I'll have to actually watch that one of yours.
Yes. Get out and watch it right now.
Add a view to YouTube.
Yes. And I'd like to thank, after you made a comment a few weeks ago regarding Patreon supporters, Ray Woodruff, along with a couple other people, went out and supported my Patreon account. I, of course, encourage you guys to support all of our media outlets that offer something like Patreon. Please support them all as much as you can. Most of the ones that came in for me were, $1 or $2 or whatever per video, and
We should get Smashbox Patreon.
we certainly could. Someone said to me, someone else had said like, "Well, I'm sorry, it's just $1," and I thought to myself,
$1.
wow, I have like almost 20,000 subscribers. If every other person out of 20,000, obviously, well, that's some math, that's 10,000. If 10,000 people all donated $1 for every video I put out, I will promise you my videos would get 5 times better. They would be amazing. I would be able to hire people. I'd be able to edit quicker, or they would edit for me because I don't edit well. My videos would blow your mind if we had a legitimate budget to go do this on. The guys that do make amazing videos are just that amazing. But yeah, if every other person of my 20,000 subscribers donated just $1 per video, you'd get more videos and they would be amazing. So, for what that's worth.
Well, that's good. And again, as I've said a couple weeks ago, Patreon, go support the disc golfers and the media. So,
or Nate Sexton's on the board. He's chiming in. I think
if
he's just looking for that Oregon love from the big win out on the West Coast or out at the team tournament. But he says then we could pay a half decent commentator. I think that's a direct jab at Dynamite.
yeah, right at Dana or you.
Oh, that's a good call. I don't commentate a lot of my own these days.
Not so much anymore.
I told Dana, I said, hey, Dan, I was really thinking about editing some of my videos together here in this offseason and then driving down to Illinois and you and I could co-commentate, but that's off the table now. You just effed up, like, clearly. So we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, good stuff out there. What else do you got there, Johnny?
I ain't got much.
Oh.
I don't have much. Oh, I was talking. I had it up on my list here. The Disc Golf Pro Tour cards are basically sold out everywhere.
They are.
I've
except for in my office where I have them hoarded.
Yes, I've got a deck upstairs thanks to you, and I wasn't sure originally if I was going to collect them, and then I kind of decided I do want a set. By the time I wanted to get a set, basically every place was sold out. So I went ahead and found some on Airborne's website, some of the packs, and I bought them out. I think I bought 15 packs from them. So I went ahead and got the 15 packs. I don't know if they are anywhere else right now. I thought Sun King had them for a while, but they do not have them on their website as far as I could find. So I'm hoping to, obviously I've got the base deck. I'm hoping to collect a few more of those rarer cards.
And some of you may or may not have seen on Facebook, I've even created a little bit of a group. I think it's called like Disc Golf Pro Tour Trading Buy and Sell car or whatever group. Disc Golf Pro Tour, yeah, something like that. Go out and search for it and talk about the cards. Disc Golf Pro Tour card trade and sales. So we've
rolls
got
right off the tongue.
Exactly. We've got a bunch of members signing up. People are talking about it, and it's just that you can talk about trading with your friends. I had Mitch Prevette from Minnesota reach out to me today, and he said, "Rumor has it, I heard that you have extras of me, and how do I go about getting them?" I was like, "Well, I have extras now, but I've got more packs to open where you might be." There won't be extras at that point, so I don't know what I'm going to do just yet, but it's pretty exciting. There's a lot of people talking about it right now. Travis Brown is looking just for his locals. He's like, does anybody have any duplicates? I'm looking for local players. Ben Calloway, Curtis Manahan, and Dana Vici. So the exact same number of cards were made for every one of the for the players, so to speak.
For the standard
release.
61 card
Yes,
set.
so all of those were the same. However, the very limited cards that are out there are venue cards, which are 5 of them, and then there's 4 champion cards, which are also very limited, being even less than the venue cards. So those are the most sought after. Well, I don't know if they're sought after yet, but those are the least, the ones in least circulation production.
Sure. So I'll be curious. Hopefully, I got a confirmation from Airborne that a bunch of my stuff was processed. So I'm hoping to see it in the next day or two, and I'm going to rip open some packs.
Yes, you are. I got some Nate Sexton cards.
You buy them real cheap.
Yeah, Nate Sexton. I don't know.
Sexton's on the board right now.
Yes, he is. Along with Dion Arlen. So we'd like to say, Nate, first of all, thanks for chiming in and letting us know you're here. Congrats. Obviously, we spoke with Nate, the other Nate. Is that what we call him?
Yeah.
The other Nate Dawes, and
other Nate.
Valarie Jenkins. We spoke with them during our regular show.
The other one with 3 world championships.
But I'd still think we should call him the other Nate.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with that.
I mean, if Nate Sexton's. And yes, some of these are even surfaced on eBay already, which is interesting to see as these packs continue.
Someone says I can buy Nate Sexton on eBay for $1.99, like the actual Nate probably.
Yeah, he hands delivers the card and then stands there.
No, he just shows up at my house for $1.99.
That's not a bad deal.
So
very cool. There was something else that I had, but no, of course it slipped my mind. I'm gonna check my little list.
Any picks or anything? Do you have?
Yeah, I don't have too much going on that I've seen. Obviously, these Pro Tour cards have been a pretty hot item. I think there was an element of hit or miss, really, as to whether they'd be successful or people would want them. But I think a lot of our pros, understandably, are really excited to see themselves on a card.
I think they should be.
For the longest time, Avery Jenkins and Ken Climo kind of had these cards, and there was this hint of a Paul McBeth type card running around. But having these Pro Tour cards are really cool. Talk about cool, gifts and getting them signed and people having them for loved ones and family and friends. It's certainly a moment for any professional player, especially in disc golf, to kind of. Is it a level of achievement or accomplishment or
he should have done more cards,
legitimacy?
More styles of cards. Like I want to see like big moment cards.
All could be in the works.
Or big fail cards. Or
depressing ramen noodle moment card.
Yeah.
Like
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm
say it.
I'm going to first apologize. I want the picture of Nate Sexton at the Majestic,
Ouch.
like right after that missed
you were
putt.
Gonna go there.
just like
Nate.
maybe have it one of those hologram cards, so when you turn it, you see the putt go doink and fall just over and over. Oh, I'm sorry, Nate.
Oh, I
do
think the
love
kids
you.
say savage.
Savage
I think is the term.
I-
Ouch.
If this was an emoji, it'd be some of those little fire things next to it.
Oh yeah.
No, but
shots
I do think it would be
fired.
cool to see some other types of cards rather than just the venues and the champion cards. I think it would be cool to see like huge moments or like giant, like Nico's giant drive on the final hole of the championships would have been
Sure.
awesome to see. Something, just key things that happened on the pro tour.
But I think one of the challenges, I mean, we think about those moments because we saw them and we lived them, were they captured well in photo format. That I think is one of the challenges.
Correct, and the problem is there might not be photos for all that. You might have to do like
Yeah.
a screen scrape off Smashbox or something. Yeah,
Show
us the money.
I don't think screen scraping from our 720.
No, but we have.
feed.
But from the
Oh,
1080,
from the raw,
from
from
the
the raw.
1080 would be
Yeah, sure.
fine.
That would be a way to go. Yeah, I think all of those things could be in the works. Course record cards. Somebody sets a course.
No, course records change so much with every different
That's the
configuration.
point. That's the point. Like,
I hate.
what are you talking? You think a rollaway is enough to put on
No.
a frickin' card, but you don't think a course record is significant?
I would
enough to
rather
put on
see a
card?
significant rollaway than a course record that next year they're going to have two.
That's the point.
They're going to have two slightly different
it's a
holes.
Snapshot in time.
They're going to have
That's
two
the
slightly
point.
different holes and be like, I got the new course record. You got the old
Well, I'm not
course
saying
record.
everyone has to always be set, or has to be put into the record or made
just
into
saying.
a card. I couldn't disagree with you more that you think a rollaway that's for someone that could have taken 9th place should
No,
be memorialized on a card.
I never said that.
Well, you just got done saying a rollaway for someone.
Well, for someone, like if it's like an important rollaway, like so and so lost first place because of this, or so and so hit a huge putt, like one of the big Ricky putts would be awesome to have on there. I would
Something
I hate-
positive
again,
maybe, but a rollaway on a card
and this
versus a
is-
course record?
Yeah, because me personally, I hate course records. I think they're all stupid. Unless you have a permanent course that never changes, a course record is dumb.
What about an 1100 card? 1100 club?
That would be cool.
Why? Because you don't think those don't change?
At least an 1100 is a static thing. Like I got an 1100 because
No, it's not.
Because I compared it to
No,
the
it's
rest
not,
of the people
'cause
that are there.
If a totally different field was there, full of amateurs, that
know.
wouldn't be rated 1100.
But
so it's not static.
It is static, and that it's done.
No more than a course record.
I think course records.
A course record is based on the configuration in which people play that year. I understand they change. I don't disagree with you. You move one pin, and technically a new course record could be set.
The problem is
I totally agree with that. Same could be said of an 1100. You could show up and shoot an 1100 on the 4th round of the Memorial one year, shoot the exact same score on the exact same course, and it'd be rated 1099.
So the Majestic course, that's basically, we'll say, has it ever been in that exact configuration before?
No, I'm not saying.
So that's a course record you want on a card?
No, not all of them. That's what I said. Not all of them.
I'm just saying. The only thing for me, course records are if it's an established course in a particular format. Like I could say Fountain Hills, the Memorial course, because that one rarely changes. Or I mean, other than that, maybe Vibram, but even Vibram has changed over the course of the years. Like the Vibram is currently set the way it has been for at least a couple of years.
You don't need to make a card for every quote-unquote course record. But when Paul Macbeth shoots a 45 at Vibram, that's card worthy.
And that's an 1100 round too.
Okay, but it was a course record.
I know. And that's
And it was
more
worthy.
I would rather see it as an 1100 card than a course record card.
A course record is 48 one year, they change 2 tees, and then next year it's 47, I'm not suggesting you make a course record card. You could. I'm not suggesting that.
That's
I
why,
think
like I
there
said,
are opportunities where a course record is above and beyond and is worthy of memorializing on a card versus a rollaway. You're the one that said rollaway, not me.
I never said roll away. You brought up roll away first.
No, I did not.
I'm fairly certain you did. We're
No.
going to go back through the records. You
Go
originally
ahead.
said the term roll away. I think I said missed putt, and you brought up roll away. I would rather see a dramatic moment like that, like a missed putt or a big putt, not just necessarily a missed one. I'm talking dramatic moments. And like I
I'd
said,
be more on board with
I-
a positive dramatic moment than a negative one.
I'm fine with either personally, because we celebrate in general in sports. Obviously, we celebrate huge successful moments. We don't necessarily always celebrate defeat moments, even though they're just as significant to somebody. Like it sucks. It's a bad significance, but it is. You know, and I'm not saying you have to have them. And would it suck? I mean, think about the guy who's as they say posterized on the big dunk. That guy's on a poster, and again, I'm fine if they never do. I just, again, this is me personally. I hate course records. I hate them. I think they're stupid because courses change so much. They get tweaked. They move. There's always the big argument like, what's the USDGC course record? Is it the one that Anton shot on the hard course? Or is it when they maybe made it a little easier? Or is it the new one with the new pads? Or it's going to be next year when they make a third triple Mando somewhere. Like, there's just, every time it changes, and I hate course records because courses fluctuate so much that they seem so worthless to me. Like, literally worthless.
That's great. I disagree. I mean, I agree in the fact that I understand courses change and therefore course records can change. Setting a significant course record still carries weight. When someone destroys a course and does
Sure.
it significantly above and beyond everyone else, regardless of the layout that it's in, and it happens to be a course record, I think that is noteworthy.
I'm not saying it's not noteworthy.
All right. Well, we'll move on
Oh, of course.
to other dumb stuff that Johnny's got ideas about. Just kidding. Remo says people probably remembering Nate missing that putt more than Ricky hitting that huge putt to win at the Majestic. I don't know.
That's tough. That's a coin
Ricky's
flip.
putt was so huge.
It was so huge.
It's not like if of course if Ricky had a 15-footer to tap in for the win, yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think you're remembering unfortunately you're remembering Nate's, but then Ricky, the way he ultimately won it and then made this enormous putt. I don't know. That was a pretty special moment. But then again, is it even special at that point? Because Ricky made putts all freaking year.
Yeah,
How many big putt Ricky cards are you going to have? Well, there's the big putt Ricky card at
it could
Masters
be a
Cup.
sub-series.
Exactly. That's my point. Is
he
like,
really
you have to
had-
narrow him down.
He really had, I think this year, he hit a lot of big putts, but he really had those two huge ones, the Masters Cup one and the Majestic one. Those were the two really big ones.
I know. It's funny to think that
that he could have his own sub-series.
yeah, of monster Ricky putts. Carver out on the board saying, "You mean Ricky's foot fault to win?" Apparently, Carver's got a
Got a better camera angle than me.
yeah, than what we saw. Maybe he did. I couldn't talk about. Signature hole set.
That would be pretty cool. Every year, a different course, you have a signature hole.
And when we see all the time, we don't see all the time anymore, but from the olden days, there was Great Holes of the World.
Yep,
and
those
those
were
were
on
various sets
discs.
of discs. So certainly along those lines, it would make perfect sense to have something of that nature. So I think you're right in that. There's so
You can
many
stop
more.
right there.
Yeah, there's so many. I have to qualify that usually. There's so many places now that Steve can go with these cards. I think Steve, probably like you and like me, mildly hesitant.
Oh, of course.
I
No
mean, we
doubt.
saw
There-
the disc golf cards, playing cards from the PDGA and the National Tour. By and large, those were, I think, a flop. And I don't mean five card hold'em. I mean, those were a flop.
There's a really great article I just read about this card game called The Contender, which I own a copy of. These guys went to Kickstarter, and I only think about it because of the Pro Tour cards. They went to Kickstarter, and it's basically kind of like a Cards Against Humanity type thing. It's all about
hypothetical situation.
Debates.
Okay.
Like called The Contender. It's, it takes famous debate lines from like the past, 200 years. And so they thought, hey, this is a great year. It's an election year. Let's get this going. We did this.
They had a little
they
substance to pull from with some of the debate conversation.
They raised $142,000 on Kickstarter.
Wow.
And then they thought, okay, well, and this was back in, I want to say it was like last November, I think they raised this money. So they thought, let's order a bunch of extra ones for the upcoming year. We'll sell them. We got debates. We have, this huge election coming up. And so I guess they ordered, whatever. There's a whole article how they raised $142,000 and went $40,000 in debt because they bought so much. It died out.
Okay.
The drive after the initial Kickstarter wasn't there, and how they just recently, like as of 2 or 3 weeks ago, have now gotten back to even.
Wow.
And they thought, that they would blow out these things. They went to all the, and it's just no one can gauge the interest in something like cards or discs even or anything like that on what it's going to be. So they said it was a huge learning lesson for them as to what to predict and how to guess what's going to happen and what's going to hit.
Well, and sometimes obviously that can be such a huge advantage to your Kickstarters or your Indiegogos or whatever, is you can kind of align your, maybe your first runs or your first production runs of items based on the, whatever your demand is or whatever your response is. But
Yep.
like you said, it's kind of funny that by the time maybe that's your major saturation point too.
Yeah.
Is you get there and it's like, okay, well, yeah, we don't have a huge, following or crowd after this.
Well, and that was what he said. He's like, we could have stopped after the Kickstarter, and there was like 4 people on the team, and each person on the team could have made like $10,000 or $15,000.
Sure.
But they thought, let's go for broke.
Of course.
Let's go big. When we can pull in 50 to 80,000 a piece or something, and that didn't happen.
Wow.
They were saying how they might even have to destroy 5,000 sets because they're at like an Amazon warehouse that they get charged for, and it's going to cost them like $5,000 to have this area at Amazon for their fulfillment.
And it's cheaper to destroy them.
It's cheaper to destroy them than to save them. Like they would have to either be shipped somewhere, which would cost them like $3 or $4, $5, $6 a shipping a box, or they just literally burn them, like just incinerate them. And so they had a huge Black Friday sale, all that other stuff, and I don't know what they ended up doing as of a week ago, but just the thought of having to order all these things and just watch the money you spent just burn up.
Yeah, go in flames. So wow, that's pretty crazy. Do you ever peruse Kickstarter, or do you have to see something on like an internet
see something
or on the internet on the Facebook
ever.
to then bring you to it? You don't just kind of randomly search through anything?
No.
Have you ever-
I don't really peruse the Kickstarters unless something pops up generic or
that like gets you there.
It gets me there, like an article on something that's kind of cool, or someone shares something on social media. I don't ever like just go out to Kickstarter. So there's,
There was something out there. One of the conversations, and this certainly could be applicable to anybody. I don't think this is just a full blown media conversation, but we've seen obviously a million selfie sticks come about in the last few years. But one of the things I'm curious and looking further into is some kind of stabilizer for my phone. And why this is important is we see the PDGA, Marty Gregoire, has invested in such a thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out on the market.
And there's a lot of them out on the market, and they range anywhere from $39.99 to essentially $299. I don't know if there's anyone out there that's had any experiences, any pros or cons. I've got a relatively large phone now in the Google Pixel XL, which I don't think is that much bigger than, say, Apple's biggest phone these days. With that, what I would like to do is more frequent, maybe not quite daily, but closer to daily mini vlogs. I started them around this time last year. I had done them for a few weeks, and then I didn't get much of a response, good or bad, so I didn't really continue on with it. However, I would like to get back to it, and I think there's a way to put out better content more frequently in doing little mini vlogs, whether it's a question of the day or something exciting that's come up that maybe just that something comes out on a Wednesday and we aren't talking again until the following Tuesday. Sometimes that's almost old news depending on what it is. So if anyone's got input or feedback, I'd love to know what people think about that in terms of a stabilizer. If anyone works with one or has worked with one, for me, I think one of the more important components, and I saw one of these, is one that can be propped up so that it can be left alone. Cool Daddy Slick Breeze over at Dynamic Discs has been putting out a lot of content lately. Really good stuff, after hours and stuff from the warehouse and question and answer stuff. And I think a major component is to be able to do, it's great to have it for the stabilization, but to also then be able to set it. There was something the other night when I was out playing in the snowstorm, I really wanted to be able to prop it up or set it in my bag or put it down on the ground, my phone, and I couldn't. And that's where I thought that would have been a perfect use for it, for the times where you don't have friends and you're alone by yourself.
So alone.
Actually, I had Dustin out there, and he offered to hold it, but I'm like, no, damn it, I'm going to prop it up in my bag, so it's just right. But I'd like to do more stuff with it, so if anyone has feedback. Ronald says that Avery Jenkins had a phone on a really good one that he saw at the USDGC. Yeah, I think we saw Avery at some point this year graduate, for lack of a better term.
It was at USDGC.
Was that the first time we saw him?
That was the first time, because it was really funny that he was having. I remember he was doing some testing the day before USDGC, and he was having a major problem because the rotating it for the Facebook Live app doesn't work.
Correct.
You have to keep it horizontal. So they actually had to go to the hardware store and rig something up in order to get it that way.
Yes, which
I mean, and that's just the case for that particular app.
Correct. Seeing some of those challenges and things to deal with. Brian, who's a great filmer and editor out there, says go for a DJI Osmo.
I've seen those. I've actually looked at those. Those are pretty nice.
Now you want me to go look. I'm guessing it's $299, just off the top of my head, because that seems to be like the high-end price. Oh, no, just kidding. $569. No, there's a couple different versions and whatnot, but it seems like you want to stay away from anything under $150 is what the reviews were telling me. And it seems like $299 is kind of that magic high price point, but these look to be even more.
Sure.
All right. And also just thank you. Getting another private message saying the Sync SY 501 SP. All right. I'll take a look into that as well.
Cool.
So thank you guys for the feedback. Appreciate it. Anything I can do to further my personal endeavors here?
Yeah, awesome. So do you got anything else? You don't have...
I don't have anything else too crazy right now. I'm still working on some stuff. I know I said last week that you're going to see some kind of podcast or live or something or other piece from me. You will. I'm still working on some details. I really thought things would be ready, but I want to take a little bit more time to get my ducks in a row, for a lack of a better term. As I mentioned, the Raz round will probably be the next thing that I release from the Nantucket event. Super excited to put that out. That should take me a little less time to edit, but it is going to be hilarious. It's a really unique format, really unique, good time at the end of a long day and a long weekend, but a really good time. Yeah, for sure. So if people were second guessing the commentary during that, they're going to really be. I didn't provide any commentary. It's all just on-site commentary by others, and it should be very entertaining. Very entertaining for sure. Yeah, and then I think I know we kind of mentioned it. I know I just said the Canadian event has had some footage released, and it seems like Central Coast is kind of on the same page with me in that, but I'm behind. They're releasing just a ton of footage. They've had footage throughout the entire year that they didn't get to or couldn't get to at the time due to all of their busy and full-time jobs and lifestyles. And so now it seems like they kind of have just a never-ending roll of stuff that they're releasing. So it's great to see them continuing to put out content. And I think that's about it.
Cool. I don't have anything else. I watched the end of Westworld.
Oh,
it
sweet.
Was meh. The whole season I thought was meh.
Wow. How many seasons is that?
It's the very first season, 10 episodes. The last episode was good, but I thought the rest of the season was just meh. I'll watch it next season or 2018 when it comes back or something, but Hopefully it gets better now that they've set the table, but I won't spoil anything. But it's just meh.
Just meh.
Meh. That's kind of how I felt. I felt like the last like 4 or 5 episodes, I was kind of dragging myself through them. Like finish. Like it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. These characters are gonna do something smart. They're not gonna make that. Oh, they made that same stupid decision. Like just, yeah.
Not
just
good.
A little disappointed.
The only thing I've had the chance to just be mildly in and out of paying attention to Shameless, and the show is amazing. I wish I could have dedicated the time to intently watch every single episode. I have not. It's always on in the background, or I've only being able to watch it with one eye or my one good ear. But it is amazing. It's hilarious. I don't know how many seasons there even are.
6, I want to say.
So, and I think we're on 4 or 5 or something like that. But it's I think it's pretty funny, and William Macy I think
7.
is a very dynamic character. Very very good stuff. So that's about all that I got. And here in Wisconsin. This weekend is going to be the Wisconsin Disc Sports Association committee meeting, on which I'm a part of, and the significant part to that for me is, besides an 8-hour meeting all day with all Wisconsin Hall of Fame members and Disc Golf Hall of Fame members, is that I'll be presenting the first draft of the Wisconsin schedule.
Wisconsin State Tour.
Yeah, the state tour in Wisconsin, sanctioned events, non-sanctioned events, and all the madness that goes along with that. I know I've been in contact with the Illinois state coordinator, Mike Kuprika, and he's been messaging back and forth and sharing their schedule because we're so close and we have similar draws. It's just crazy. Oh, Jordan, speaking of neighboring states, Jordan Castro, congrats on the ace. Long time into the podcast for that, but congrats on the ace. 415 feet.
It's a nice
said
ace.
for the first time in 9 months, his fingers didn't hurt, and he got an ace.
Yeah, he had a blister on it that took forever to heal.
Good. I don't have any aces over 400 feet.
Nor do I.
So it'd be neat to get one.
Let's close it up.
Oh, okay. Johnny wants to close it up.
No, you can close it up.
Oh, I'm going to close it up. Okay. All right, guys. It's been a pretty good jam-packed night with lots of good stuff.
Lots of good stuff.
We thank you guys always for tuning in and listening. Find us on all your favorite podcast apps. Go out and like us. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a 5 stars. It helps with visibility and people being able to locate and find us. Share us with all your friends, and delete the answer man or whatever else. Make room. Whatever you need to do. Those guys have old news. So for Johnny V and myself, this has been the After Show for podcast number 122. We'll see you guys next Tuesday night when you step inside the Smash Box.